The Age of the Mecha, Fists that Shatter Stars. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 526 Soul God. Then, these tiny creatures are the prototypes of the divine creatures of later generations. No, maybe they are the ancestors of those creatures with the word Gen and Tai. Li thought thoughtfully. Yes and no. The god of the realm shook his head. The ancient creatures of the Gen generation did originate from here, but the ancient creatures of the Tai generation have different origins. The so-called ancient creatures of the Tai generation refer to the existence of the corresponding biological form that has reached the peak and has power that overwhelms all similar beings. This exists in any era of the ancient times. After all, in every era, there will always be people with extraordinary talents whose physical power continues to surpass under the supplement of the laws. The Gen generation is naturally the ancestor. The Tai generation may be the ancestor, or they may just be the descendants whose strength is better than the ancestors. The power of the Gaia law left by the God Gaia contains the power of creation and life, making the universe full of various forms of creatures. Therefore, countless creatures of the Gen generation were bred at that time. Although these are ancestors, there are always weak ones. After the end of the Chaos Star era, what followed was the rise of various species of creatures guided by the god Gaia. Among these creatures, some were born from cosmic phenomena, such as supernova explosions, black holes, red giants, and energy rays that you call gamma rays, as well as laws and new life forms. This era is also called the Age of Chaos, because after a brief period of peace in the universe, with the rise of various completely different creatures, a larger and more widespread conflict has occurred. Think about it carefully. Originally, it was at most a struggle between stellar creatures and planetary creatures, but now neither stars nor planets can give birth to life. Instead, there are all kinds of meteorites, meteors, planetary rings, stellar storms, and various creatures with completely different life essences. In order to fight for the laws, they used eternal life, and naturally spread the scope of the war to a smaller and wider range. In this chaotic era, two holy gods were born one after another. One is called the Spirit God, and the other is called the Soul God. Hearing this, Li's heart moved slightly. Will his future enemy be one of these two? After all, just by listening to the name, you know that these two must have extraordinary attainments in the special sequence of souls. And his future enemy is obviously a strong man who has terrifying power with just a thought. Judging from this point, the possibility is very high. The soul sequence is the core concept under the concept of life, one of the three root laws. The concept of the characteristics of spirit and soul is combined into one, which can basically be equated with a life sequence. After all, no matter what kind of life it is, its core is still the soul, not other things. Let me ask, what is life? Just moving, producing stress changes, and having internal flow. Are these considered life? Li combined his recent understanding of the root law and understood the importance of the two strong men, the Spirit God and the Soul God. According to the fact that Yang God destroyed stellar life and Gaia God destroyed planetary life, the existence of the Spirit God and the Soul God has most likely laid the foundation for some commonalities of life forms in later generations. Sure enough, the Realm God continued. These two powerful beings, the Spirit God, were born in the Shanshu Star, the center where countless new lives are conceived. The Soul God was born in the Silent Star Hill, the place where the souls of countless lives return after their death. They were born almost at the same time, and at birth they possessed supreme innate power, and were accompanied by supreme ancient laws. The innate power of the Spirit God is called the hand of awakening wisdom and touching the top of the head. Anyone whose head is touched by his hand will be born with spiritual wisdom. If one already has wisdom, then his understanding will be transcendent and extremely wonderful. Therefore, the Spirit God was also called the Great Sage God on the early days. His existence has opened the way for many mediocre lives to become extraordinary and holy. The innate power of the Soul God is called the hand of infinite wisdom and destruction of wisdom. Anyone whose soul is touched by him will seem to fall into the endless hell and endure the tribulation. Wisdom will plummet and understanding will plummet in the process. If those who don't have much wisdom are touched by this, the calamity will be passed on to future generations. In addition, they also share the indestructible and ever-changing invisible souls, which are quite similar to mine. Since their birth, they seem to have realized their own shortcomings and the complementary effects of each other on themselves. So, They each accumulated strength, gathered personnel, and launched a war that swept the entire universe. The universe has thus continued for more than 1 billion years of spiritual gods and soul gods opposing each other, and each other has advanced to the level of law god, and finally in a certain decisive battle, both have achieved the path of holy gods. So, their respective spiritual wisdom laws and soul laws also had a shocking collision. In the end, before transcending, the two put aside their hatred and joined forces to extract the companion laws of countless lives. Hearing this, Li Yi's heart moved. It sounds like the previous opposition between the spiritual god and the soul god was all a show. The world god shook his head. I'm not sure about this, maybe it's true. In short, after that decisive battle, the chaotic era also ended completely, because the vast majority of ancient creatures born in the chaotic era died because the two holy gods joined forces to extract the laws. From then on, the universe fell into a very long period of extinction. Too many laws were extracted, and the upper limit of the concepts within the universe also dropped sharply. The mysterious power of creation has been unable to give birth to new life. However, due to the success of the spirit god and the soul god in proving the Tao, they extracted the wisdom and soul laws of the universe respectively, but also due to the incompleteness of the wisdom and soul laws in the universe, it is easier for the universe to give birth to souls. Originally, the soul is the essence of personality that can be condensed when the realm reaches the god of law. From then on, after a long period of accumulation, the first batch of souls from weak creatures were born in the universe, creatures after the chaotic era. Even ordinary strong ones have many abilities to take over bodies, split bodies, and divide thoughts, and this law power that was originally possessed by the spirit god and the god of law. The earlier batch of strong people rarely mastered these. Such a change can be said to be unpredictable, and blessings and disasters are interdependent. Of course, this step is mostly their unintentional action. They themselves are mostly just to destroy most of the same or similar creatures. Every time a holy god is born, a group of similar creatures are usually exterminated, the genetic information of the life left outside is recovered, and a large number of laws are extracted. I estimate that this is most likely due to some errors that occurred during the transcendence, which led to each holy god making the same choice. This is my guess, but it is probably close. Hearing this, Li Yi's heart moved slightly. In other words, the two holy gods born later also did the same thing, not only extracting a large number of laws, but also exterminating a large number of their own. Then, the so-called holy gods are essentially no different from what the masters of the first year of divinity did. Chapter 527 Guidance. The realm god was surprised at Li Yi's reaction, thinking, only a strong man like Lord Yi who has the power to open up the universe on his own would be surprised at what the ancient strong men did. No, in fact, he has not yet realized that his method of suppressing many strong men from entering his own universe, although it did not damage the universe itself, was still a great horror event for his peers at the time. Thinking of this, he also felt a little ridiculous. The realm god thought to himself that if he became a holy god, the first thing he did would probably be no different from the holy gods of the previous generations. After all, whether it is concepts or laws, there are only so many things. How difficult is it to create them out of thin air? And suppressing the strong men from entering his own universe and helping his own universe evolve is even more difficult. In comparison, it is naturally simpler to cut the universe from the concept. Of course, in the long run, it must be a pure cutting method, which will hurt the universe more and bring a more lasting and wider catastrophe, until the universe can no longer bear such a heavy load and collapses on its own. If it is just harvesting the strong, then it can naturally still maintain the endless life and long cycle of the universe. The god of the realm said immediately, in fact, your suppression of the strong and the saints' proof of the law of extracting the strong will not damage the universe at the root, but for the contemporary strong, isn't it the same thing? There is no difference. He spoke quickly and forgot that he had asked himself to mention the word suppressor as little as possible. As soon as he said it, he regretted it again. However, the dignity of a strong man in his heart was still there, and he tried hard not to show any inappropriateness. From the state, it was more like questioning Li Yi. Li Yi said lightly, Your Excellency, the god of the realm, do you want to seek justice for the invaders who were suppressed by me? When this was said, the god of the realm was shocked. He wanted to slap himself in the face. Oh, you are joking, sir. I am just talking casually. I mainly want to understand why you don't just cut the laws of the universe. Wouldn't it be simpler and more direct to do so? Not only can it save a lot of effort, but it can also make the universe you created grow faster. The realm god forcibly changed the subject. Li Yi shook his head and said, "It seems that although you, sir, are majoring in the laws of time and space, you don't seem to have seen through it. Well, let me remind you, everything you get will bear the price you get. Things you get from the universe will definitely have a price in the future. Disaster is one of the natural costs of the unstable universe. This is the price of the forced transfer of the masters of the first era. In the future, they will also have to bear the corresponding backlash costs in turn. This is the law of conservation of laws. Only by obtaining from the level below the laws, breaking down less and gathering more, can this cost be reduced as much as possible." These words, spoken in the form of the original language, made the realm god feel shocked by the sound of the great Dao. His face, as majestic as a giant mountain, was confused and frustrated. He realized that he seemed to have taken a less appropriate path in the past. The companion law is certainly a gift from heaven. But all ancient creatures are also limited by it. Power is too easy to get. As long as you understand the law thoroughly and master it, you can have infinite power and enjoy a respected status in the universe. But this made him deeply unable to jump out of the law that accompanied him, and unable to comprehend things beyond the law faster. Not only that, but because of the control of the law, when the disaster reaches a certain level, they will inevitably fall into destruction. Once the sixth disaster strikes, I will surely perish. At this moment, the world god, combined with the various insights of the laws of the void world, suddenly had a clear understanding of his future destiny. I am afraid that in the current universe, there are so many gods of law, and only 2 or 3 can safely exempt from the sixth disaster. The stronger the rest of the strong, the more they cannot escape the punishment of the disaster. So that's how it is. No wonder that since the beginning of the first era of divinity, except for those masters who left the world, the rest of the masters, the strongest masters, all died the fastest. Even if you anticipate and sleep in advance, you can't avoid being severely weakened. The god of the realm also saw through some phenomena that he saw but didn't understand. Li Yi paid attention to the expression of the god of the realm, while taking advantage of his emotional fluctuations to quickly collect his genetic information, while deciphering his brain waves and his original language. As an ancient creature, the reference degree of this original language is naturally not bad. Although it is still far inferior to the god of the year, it is enough for Li Yi to learn. Li Yi smiled and said, "It seems that your excellency the god of the realm has realized a lot, so my return gift ends here. We can interact more and make friends in the future." The god of the realm woke up from his confusion, and he had the urge to complete the repair of the law. He vaguely felt that even if the top-level concept of the companion law was extracted, he could rely on his current understanding to repair it. Even if it was extracted, he could still replenish it. This is his way of transcendence. Once he has completed his own repair of the law, the damage he will suffer before the next disaster will be greatly reduced. Thank you for your guidance, Lord Yi. This is like a rebirth. I have benefited a lot. If you need me in the future, I will respond immediately. The world god was convinced by Li Yi. Before, he was just shocked by Li Yi's various magical methods. Now he understands that these must be the mysteries that Li Yi suddenly realized from countless complex and magnificent time and space. To comprehend such a high realm, it is definitely not achieved by luck or chance. This lofty and mysterious realm made him look up to the mountains, and the fear in his heart was also reduced a lot. It was not because Li Yi was not strong that he was no longer afraid, but because he felt the kindness thrown by Li Yi and felt at ease. Li Yi smiled. "No need for empty formalities, you might as well tell me some interesting stories about the last 2 holy gods. After the universe became more likely to breed creatures with souls, what kind of strong people were born?" The world god nodded and began to narrate. Next, it was the transition from the chaotic era to the wild era. In the wild era, life completely transitioned from star-level life and cosmic phenomenon-level life of billions of meters and tens of millions of meters to life forms of tens of thousands of meters and thousands of meters. At that time, due to the shocking harvest of the spirit god and the soul god, the remains of countless ancient creatures gathered together. After a long time, under the influence of gravity and other residual laws, they gathered into a vast continent that spanned more than billions of light years. This is a supercontinent built by the remains of countless corpses. On this continent, it was barren at first, and then dense forests grew, giant trees covered the sky, and creatures of 10,000 meters could be seen everywhere. In this era, 2 holy gods were born again. One is called the Wild God and the other is called the Wild God. Chapter 528 The Origin of Divinity. The god of wilderness and the god of wildness stood out very early and became the god of law. One occupied all the wastelands of the supercontinent, and the other occupied all the jungles of the supercontinent. The god of wilderness is the first powerful person to become the god of law in the new era. He is born with the law of desolation, and successfully mastered the law within 1,000 years. He's known as the super genius who quickly became the god of law in the ancient times. Of course, in hindsight, the god of wilderness's quick attainment of the law was also due to the opportunity of the times, because at that time most of the life in the universe was extinguished, and the creation and life were desolate. The cosmic environment naturally allowed the law of desolation to gain the blessing of the origin, and there was a vague trend of being promoted to the fourth root characteristic. At that time, the opposing characteristics of the three root characteristics of life and the creation characteristic were the desolate characteristics. Also because of the desolate characteristics, the god of wilderness naturally hated the birth of new life. One of his great pleasures is to regularly kill a group of creatures on the continent. This behavior continued until the universe gradually recovered and the god of wildness was born. He was born with a law of chaos and wildness, which mixed some of the characteristics of time and life, and had the advantages of the root core space-time law. As soon as he was born, all the creatures in the initial super-large continent were directly upgraded on the spot. Countless new life forms were born. At that time, I was the remains of an ancient corpse on the continent, located at the edge of the continent, and had all kinds of entanglements with nature and time and space. Influenced by the birth of the chaos law, I was also reborn. Hearing this, Li Yi's heart moved slightly, and said, "That is to say, Your Excellency, the realm god himself came from a super strong man in the ancient chaotic era, but his life was destroyed, and he was stimulated by the birth of the chaos god and regained his life." The realm god nodded. "Yes, I was no longer an ancient creature at that time. At that time, everyone said that the birth of the chaos god indicated that the prosperous era was about to come. After the chaos god also proved his way to become the second god of law in the new era within 1,000 years, the ancient creatures named the supercontinent they were in as the wild continent. The so-called largest gathering place for creatures in the universe is just like this. There has never been such a large unified place for creatures to live in the previous three eras. At that time, there were more star-level and stellar-level creatures that lived in the void and were born with extremely high life status, because the god of Mang achieved the status of the god of law. Hundreds of millions of new biological forms were born in this desolate continent. All of these creatures are unique and born from the fortune of heaven and earth. The desolate continent also gathered countless essences of the universe and was hailed as the most prosperous era in ancient times. The desolate period lasted for nearly 2 billion years and gave birth to countless powerful gods of law. It was a brilliant time, but such a prosperous life is only beneficial to the god of Mang. For the god of desolation, it is undoubtedly a continuous weakening. However, he was also enjoying the benefits brought by the fighting and killing of a large number of lives at that time, so he never had an attack, until the god of Mang completely surpassed the god of desolation and intended to kill him. To complete his law of desolation and to cultivate stronger laws, the war broke out. This battle was naturally earth-shattering and protracted. Li Yi thought. In other words, the ending is the same as that of the spirit god and soul god period. They each completed what they needed in the super war. Both achieved the path to the holy god, and destroyed the entire desolate continent in one fell swoop. The realm god nodded. That's right. History repeats itself again and again, and no one can stop it. Even though the god of desolation and the god of wildness are geniuses and have experienced endless fighting, the difficulty of achieving the path to the holy god has become more and more difficult due to the method of achieving the path of the previous generation of strong men, which is like digging up the roots. It was not until all the lives of the entire desolate continent were buried with them that they completely succeeded in achieving the path. When they achieved the path, they no longer needed to extract many ancient laws. In other words, they no longer had ancient laws to extract. Although they achieved the path to the holy god, they had to continue fighting each other due to the lack of ancient laws, and at this time, it was naturally the god of desolation who benefited. He relied on his first mover advantage. Even if he was surpassed by the god of wildness, during the war, the strong men of the desolate continent fell like rain, and the enhancement he received was also greatly improved. In the end, although both of them achieved the status of saint god, the god of wilderness succeeded in counterattacking and extracted the law of chaos to make up for his law defects. Therefore, only the god of wilderness succeeded in transcending. The god of wilderness was just a meteor for a moment. After the law was extracted, he soon fell along with the broken continent of chaos. After that, the continent of chaos was broken, and under the terrifying power of the final battle, It flew to all corners of the universe. As a result, the broken continent of chaos brought a batch of completely different seeds of life and spread them to the universe. At the same time, the shattering of the continent of chaos also had a great impact on the stability of the origin of the universe, causing the origin of the universe to begin to leak out partially. The origin energy flowed into the universe for the first time and interacted with the universe, constantly reducing its dimension, giving birth to new energy between the origin energy and ordinary energy. This new energy will undoubtedly make it easier for ordinary creatures to evolve. Ordinary creatures throughout the universe have benefited and begun to become extraordinary. This is the cradle of a new era. More weak creatures have begun to have the opportunity to practice upward. All creatures that should have been born and died in the same day have the opportunity to become gods. Therefore, this energy was named divinity. So, those divine creatures that were only a few thousand meters, a few hundred meters, or even tens of meters tall began to appear on the stage of history. Even with the development of the times, creatures with a height of 2 or 3 meters have also occupied the mainstream of the universe, because stars, planets, and cosmic phenomena can no longer appear. Weak life has more living space, and ordinary creatures that are less than 1,000 meters obviously do not have the ability to move across stars at will. The range of action of all creatures is limited to a smaller area. They are more likely to give birth to souls because of the extraction and loss of the soul law. The extraction of the desolate law has further reduced the difficulty of giving birth to life in the universe. Due to the emergence of divinity, ordinary life is more likely to embark on the path of cultivation and evolution, and it is also easier to produce a brilliant civilization system, forming a larger number of races, and stepping into every corner of the universe. Divine civilization is a brand new civilization system that was born under the alternation of these 4 ancient times. Also due to the emergence of divine civilization, the laws of creation and life have been repaired. Even after being cut by many saints, the root law still maintains its respected status as the second law. The universe has also extended its collapse period again due to the emergence of divine civilization. If it weren't for the emergence of divine civilization, the universe would have probably been reduced to a lower dimension after the god of resentment proved his way. However, since the first era of divinity, the universe has once again fallen into a new crisis. Everything has changed, and everything seems to have changed. At this point, the world god couldn't help but sigh a little more as a person who had experienced it. As the world god narrated, Li Yu's mind also emerged with a magnificent picture of the ancient creatures fighting for hegemony. And this picture has obviously come to an end. Chapter 529 Inventory. After understanding many mysteries of the ancient times, Li Yu asked the realm god to leave. It took Li Yi only more than 10 minutes to collect the genetic information from the realm god. Compared with the information collected from the Sui god before, which was just a drop in the ocean, the difficulty of collecting the genetic information of the realm god was not high. The realm god is strong, but far inferior to the Sui god. Li Yu knew that although the two were both law gods, there was a huge gap in their realms. One was the life status, the second was the law status, and the third was the time of enlightenment. Needless to say, the first two were self-evident. As for the time of enlightenment, the realm god did not know exactly when the Sui god was enlightened. It is estimated that the Sui god has existed since the chaos period and has always been outside of all wars. Even though Li Yu believed that he had surpassed the Sui god in terms of time and space cognition at this moment, he did not dare to say that he could beat the Sui god. Because his biggest problem now is that his life status is still only an ordinary master level. The strength in the main universe is determined by the life status x the law status. Among the powerful people he is suppressing, the highest life status is at most a realm god of several 100,000 meters, which is comparable to the life of a small planet. This was only considered ordinary in the ancient times. Even in the present age of divinity, the life status of the realm god is already considered tall among the short ones. Li Yu's current life status is an ordinary master level in the flesh, and after the holy armor is transformed, it is comparable to the level of the dragon master. With a top-level cognition of time and space, he can easily defeat many strong people at the level of the dragon master. Combined with the home advantage of the small universe, he can beat a group and easily control them. The god of years is different. His life status is comparable to a superstar. In addition to mastering the law of time, there must be other laws to bless him. The life status of the god of years superimposed on his mastery of multiple top laws is the source of his near invincibility. After several blessings, Li Yu can only have a chance to compete with the god of years if he pulls up the small universe. But this will undoubtedly destroy the small universe that has just stabilized. Unless Li Yi has the idea of destroying the small universe, he is unlikely to threaten the God of Years at present. At present, he still needs to continue to improve his own life status to be comparable to a superstar, so that he can achieve true invincibility in the universe. After sending the God of World away, Li Yi also began his own retreat. This time, he gained a lot from creating a world. First of all, he refined Gaia's mother treasure, and through this, he comprehended a lot of creation and life laws. Combined with the content he had previously comprehended through his future self, his root law has naturally improved significantly this time. If the height of time and space cognition has reached the peak of the realm of the God of Law after the creation of the world, then the height of the cognition of the root law has more or less reached the height of an ordinary master. Although the gap is not small, there is a gap between the first and the latter, and the accumulation is completely different. Even if Li Yi has not been to the other two major time and space relics, he has multiple channels to obtain ancient time and space memory fragments, and there are several refreshed memory fragments of the upgraded vision. Especially the upgraded vision, this is already a high-dimensional perspective to look down, and you can see many essential things that ordinary strong people cannot see. He also absorbed the essential knowledge that integrates the three characteristics. This is the core. If he hadn't had the vision of the upgraded dimension, he would not have been able to reverse time. It is quite normal that his cognitive level at the time and space level is far beyond the root law. In addition, when the world was created, the cognition of time and space was raised in one fell swoop, and the strength of the soul was greatly expanded. With the help of the pure source energy absorbed several times when penetrating the high-dimensional hole, his soul's immortality characteristic has also increased again, reaching 30 strands. Of course, more of the growth is mainly in the physical body, reaching thousands of strands in one breath. This soul immortality characteristic is partly the nourishment brought by the immortality of the physical body. The immortality characteristic obtained purely from the quenching of the source energy is only about 10 strands. It can be seen that the immortality of the soul is more difficult than the immortality of the physical body. Although I have completed the creation of the world, the future path has been tentatively determined, and the things that follow must be done one by one. After all, the expansion and improvement of the universe is a long-term problem that requires continuous management, and the improvement of other means is obviously more efficient. First of all, you can try to complete the 4th level of Holy Armor, which should also increase some physical vitality or immortality. The second is to go to various time and space, and the areas with rich root laws to sleep, and try to make up for all the defects in the laws. The biggest difference between me and those old-fashioned strong men is that I can absorb a large amount of memory fragments at any time. They may not be able to fully comprehend the rules throughout their lives. They can only rely on mastering and occupying the laws to achieve the level of realm improvement, but this also leads to their lifetime restrictions. I only learn and comprehend the essence, but I don't touch the laws at all. I only complete imitation and optimization in my universe and build it from scratch. In this way, when disasters come in the future, I will be less afraid. According to the theory of the God of the Realm, the stronger the dependence on the laws, the more serious the damage will be this time, and there may even be a fall. So, the universe I created needs to be stripped again before the laws gradually complete the harmonious self-circulation, cut out the laws and concepts that suppress the strong. The so-called borrowing chickens to lay eggs is nothing more than this. Thinking of this, Li Yi couldn't help but smile. These strong men who coveted the treasures gave him a great opportunity. Otherwise, even if he had the strength to create a world, he would not be able to do it perfectly this time. It is also impossible to complete a small universe comparable to the solar system and with a complete internal circulation in one go like this. Although the volume is small, it has everything it should have, and it is expanding every moment. Given time, it will soon surpass the star field, the large star field, and even reach the point comparable to the main universe, or even beyond. By then, even if he has not achieved the true God, he will have the power comparable to the holy God level. No, it may be even stronger by several chips and levels, which is not impossible. It's a pity that my era doesn't have any version advantages. The good laws and good concepts have been obtained by those who got there first. The top level of the laws I have comprehended now is only the current top level of the laws, which has weakened the top level of the laws of 9 eras. To reach the top level of the laws in the ancient times, I'm afraid I have to find another way. Otherwise, after my universe reaches a certain height, The growth rate will definitely slow down due to the inherent limitations of the laws. I still have to find another way to collect the top-level concept memory fragments of the ancient times, although I have absorbed a lot at present. The majority of them are from the ancient times, which can only be regarded as the culmination of the divine era, but this is not too urgent. The most urgent task is to collect these suppressed flesh bodies first and make a new version of the Wondern method. Chapter 530.00010 Nano. Yushan Star Region. 2 months have passed since Li Yi created the world. During these 2 months, Li Yi arranged for humans to rebuild the basic defense system on Earth, and took the time to go to the Nano ruins to find stronger microsensors. He has tested that his current brain power can fully support the microscopic scale of 0.001 nanometers, that is, 1 picometer. If he pushes himself a little more and exerts the power of the immortal characteristic to the limit, it can reach an amazing level, 0.08 picometers. In other words, he now has the ability to understand the conventional atomic nucleus. But with the knowledge accumulated in physics and matter, he has also gained a great understanding of the properties of matter. The unity of knowledge and action is reflected in the performance of combat power, that is, nuclear fusion can be easily rubbed out. With a powerful power, he can directly induce the aggregation of matter, break the internal repulsion, directly fuse, and produce a powerful release of power. In other words, he can now also launch a big move like the earth-shattering star with his bare hands. Moreover, in terms of control efficiency, it is obviously better than the Nine-Feathered Lord who originally controlled the 10,000 stars Mecha. After the Nine-Feathered Lord launched the earth-exploding star, he became completely withered, and it was visible to the naked eye that he looked like a dried banana. But Li Yi was different. He had tested that he could create a small star comparable to an asteroid without any effort. With his current brain power, he could easily complete this operation even without the holy armor. This is the benefit of high cognition. In addition, with such a high level of microscopic level, he has also made great progress in understanding and improving the material properties under the 3 major characteristics of the root. It is also enough to rely on the flesh to play many tricks of controlling materials with bare hands, which is very powerful. At the same time, the solar system was rebuilt, and a large number of humans returned. Li Yi also iterated the latest version of the body forging equipment. With a large number of nanorobots confiscated in the Nano ruins, the body forging equipment was successfully completed. The basic strength of mankind began to soar. Evolvers, the heavenly position, began to emerge like water. Many people who were originally limited by their endowment and did not have the talent of a Mecha master can also embark on the path of strengthening their bodies and continuously receiving public divine radiation. Li Yi specially arranged people to go to the ruins where the strong men were suppressed and harvested them one by one. With his means of deciphering brain waves, those strong men were in his universe, so naturally there was no resistance, and they could only be taken to the coordinates of various secret ruins by Li Yi. In these secret ruins of the dominant and supreme levels, humans naturally collected a large number of truly good things from ancient times. Not only that, Li Yi observed the trend of fate and led the team personally. He would go to the ruins of every strong man who had comprehended special laws. On the one hand, it was to suppress the internal mechanism layout, and on the other hand, it was to sleep by the way and brush out a large number of memory fragments. After such an operation, he traveled to every corner of the universe within 2 months. Among these ruins, there will naturally be those who stay behind, and their strength is not weak. They are like the messengers of the God of Years. They rely on the dominant supremas of each era to survive, and naturally they also rise up to resist. In response to this, Li Yi did not take action immediately, but let the rest of the human strongmen fight and hone their skills. If there are powerful supremas and quasi-gods left behind, they will be suppressed. If not, Lin Jianlong, Qin Longchuan, Duan Mushong and other strong men will do it. If there are weaker ones left behind, they will be subdued according to the situation, or handed over to Zhang Shengfeng, Zhao Yi, Feng Hai, Tan Yaozhu, He Guangzi, Lu Yancheng and other new and old strong men to practice. Li Yi never forgets the well-digger. He has received help from many predecessors along his growth path. Now that he is strong, he naturally has to give back. Apart from anything else, it is also right to strengthen everyone with his latest iteration of the Wondern method. The latest version of the Wondern method refers to the physical materials of the ancient strongmen who were suppressed by him, and it is already very complete. For Li Yi himself, He has also increased nearly 300 strands of immortal characteristics in these 2 months. Although the growth rate is getting slower and slower, the total amount is already considerable. However, due to the limitation of soul strength, the growth of the crowd is far less than his, but it is not bad. Each of them has a different physique, which is still of some reference to Li Yu now, and it is not bad as a supplement. In the past 2 months, this group of veteran strong men have made progress in strength, and most of them are approaching the threshold of demigods. As long as they break the boundary of demigods and touch the realm of gods. By the way, Zhang Shengfeng's soul has been recalled by Yan during this period and successfully resurrected. Of course, Zhang Shengfeng's foundation is there, and he was frozen at the beginning because he was invaded by mysterious thoughts. The recall went smoothly this time, and it was also because the mysterious thoughts suddenly disappeared. Li Yu knew that it was probably because when he made great progress in strength and proved the heavenly position, the mysterious thoughts had a bad premonition and found an opportunity to escape. He didn't care, because with the status and vigilance of the mysterious thoughts, he would probably not find him. He is his future opponent, but not the current one. In this era, he only needs to do a few key tasks of the anchor point to prevent the future destiny from being changed. For the rest, let him play freely. Chen Kaiyongzi and Yan, as well as other high-level Xianwei, also participated in this relic harvesting activity, benefited a lot, and made great progress in strength. For example, Chen Kaiyongzi, under Li Yi's dedicated care, broke through to the semi-god, and confirmed that she was pregnant a few days ago. Naturally, everyone would not be jealous of this. After all, Chen Kaiyongzi was enjoying Li Yi's lap every day and fighting hard, which was also extremely hard. Every time, everyone could see that Chen Kaiyongzi, who was originally heroic and long-legged, could not even straighten her legs, and kept trembling when walking, which made her even more shocked. Even the old guy Tan Yaozu suggested that he should introduce his beautiful and virtuous granddaughter to Li Yi, so that he could share the pressure of artillery fire with Chen Kaiyongzi. Lu Yancheng cursed at this, scolding Tan Yaozu for not being a human ancestor. How could he sell his granddaughter like this? This was clearly sending him into the fire pit. He should let his granddaughter come. Of course, Li Yi rejected these two old live treasures. Chen Kaiyongzi has a special physique, which is rare in the ages. She was specially strengthened by him, so that she could withstand his life essence that contains infinite terrifying energy. If it were any other woman, even a demigod, I'm afraid the result would be that any drop of his essence would pierce her body. Even Yan's body at this moment is a little more difficult. The body of the master level is not something that anyone can bear. On this day, outside the ruins of the Nine Feathers Lord. This is the last target that Li Yu led the team to harvest. Because it is the closest to their star field, it was said at the end. At the beginning, Li Yu was not strong enough, and even if he killed the 9 feathers, he did not immediately come out to move and collect the spoils. But now the world has changed, and the situation is naturally different. At this moment, Li Yu's body is suspended on the majestic star-level body of the feather god, observing carefully. Hey, this feather god, could it be that he has never fallen into the so-called sleep? Is he hiding his tracks and taking the opportunity to retreat and prove his truth? Or does he have another plan? Chapter 531 Enlightenment. Li Yu has heard of the name of Yu Shen many times. It is said to be the strongest body in the universe. Just looking at it now, it is indeed amazing. It is about the size of 100 suns and spans 3 billion kilometers. Judging from the paper value alone, it is magnificent and terrifying. Just a few light seconds apart, there is an extremely strong gravitational force sucking in, and its suction is comparable to the power of a master-level full-strength attack. Around it, infinite heat is also constantly released, and the light is far-reaching. This scale and intensity are indeed rare. No wonder it can be called the strongest body in the universe by the Black Life Supreme. This may be because the Black Life Supreme does not have a deep understanding of the ancient times, but according to what Li Yu learned from the Boundary God, even in the ancient chaotic era, there are probably not too many stellar life forms of this scale. This Yu Shen is probably a survivor of the Yang God era. He did not participate in the war at that time and escaped from the large-scale law extraction of the Yang God. As for the physical body compared with the Sui God, who is stronger? Li Yu has not observed the full picture of Sui Shen's body, but from the previous glimpse, the evolution direction of their bodies is also different. For example, Sui Shen's body evolution direction is a body of pure space-time energy, so it is easier for him to be stuffed into the space-time layer. Although Yu Shen's body is a large-scale fusion star, it is more inclined to a body of material energy. Because Yu Shen is more inclined to gather conventional material energy, it has the greatest interference and influence on the world. Just running there will produce extremely magnificent power. Therefore, it is well deserved to be called the strongest body in the universe. After observing and collecting, Li Yu gradually realized the slightly beating original nucleus hidden in Yu Shen's infinite body. It can be seen that Yu Shen was not really forced to fall into sleep. In other words, even if it was in the early days, it must have the ability to wake up on its own now. I just don't know what Jiu is thinking, and he actually wants to take over this terrifying body. With his ability and soul strength, he is still far from being able to control such a terrifying life status. No matter what, it's not bad to collect all the genetic codes of living stellar life. Li Yu didn't care whether Yu Shen had other plans. There was no direct conflict between the two, and his collection plan was basically completed in this half hour. The genetic code of stellar life is mainly reflected in the different ways of condensation of atomic nuclei. This form of life is undergoing nuclear fusion all the time, and the terrifying energy generated by nuclear fusion hides the deep life code of stellar life. This code is not static, but changes rapidly at an extremely violent rate, with hundreds of millions of changes per second. Ordinary strong people can't observe it clearly. The scale of this kind of code is just at the picometer level, which can be observed and understood by Li Yi. In addition, Li Yi's brain power has reached a peak at this moment, and he can quickly capture such a high-speed change frequency. Therefore, it took him half an hour to roughly collect the life gene information of Yu Shen. Before the creation of the world, he couldn't do this. Just like when he met the god of years before. He could only gather a few superficial things within a glimpse. After the collection was completed, he pondered in his heart and slowly tasted a little. It seems that this is the evolution of the conceptual body. You must first practice the complete version of the conceptual body to restrain the physical body and still be able to control it freely at such a large scale. If you rashly strengthen in this direction without mastering the conceptual body, the result is likely that the physical body will expand infinitely until it collapses and evolves into a small black hole. Only with the constraints of the conceptual body can the physical body evolve into a stellar life. However, this is not enough. The physical body cannot be shrunk at any time. The convenience is not enough. Combined with the method of the God of Years, the integration of the concept body of time and space and the concept body of the root can have an infinitely large, but flexible physical body. With this thought, Li Yi suddenly became clear. He also deduced the path forward for the physical body. Sui Shen is the body of the concept of time, Yu Shen is the body of the concept of matter, and his goal is to integrate the time, space and root bodies above the two. Combined with a continuous superposition of the immortal characteristics, this is Li Yi's subsequent path to strengthen his body. As for the immortal characteristics of the soul, it can only be nourished by the physical body at present, and the speed is slow. The growth brought by absorbing memory fragments is only the growth of strength, but it cannot increase the immortal characteristics. I tried to absorb the long memory fragments that may have existed in the ancient times. Although the effect is not bad and the growth is not bad, the immortal characteristics of the soul still do not grow much. It seems that I have to find another suitable way to stably increase the immortal characteristics of the soul, Li Yu pondered. The growth of the immortal characteristics of the soul is mainly the result of the original energy nourishing the physical body, and then the physical body nourishing the soul. In the process of the original energy nourishing the soul, a lot of original energy has been intercepted. But there is no way, because the soul itself is a special concept body, invisible and intangible. Even Dao Wei, who specializes in the soul, also uses special life attributes to strengthen the soul. Besides, she hasn't even mastered the immortality of her soul. It seems that we have to try to manage the internal circulation of the microcosm to see if we can produce a method that can directly nourish the soul and promote the immortality of the soul. In addition to completing the small tasks that were previously planned, the focus of the next step is to focus on the microcosm. The microcosm and I are now bound together, so we can prosper together. The main management strategy of the universe is to enhance the efficiency of the internal circulation. Then the core is to enhance the richness of the laws and continue to raise the height of the laws. How can we make the richness of the laws perfect? It's obviously not possible to rely on me to comprehend it alone. Human power is limited. Maybe I can create a group of races similar to humans, and with the help of their wisdom, constantly improve the laws in various aspects. Yes, That's it, just like in the ancient times. The continuous birth of new life and the continuous comprehension of the laws would repair the cut laws. I can create a group of new life races and use the power to repair and enhance, then, design a core law to prevent the laws from being occupied, so that they can only comprehend and not cut like me, so that the universe will become stronger and stronger. Once those who try to monopolize the rules appear, we will take action to deal with them and make an example of them. Li Yu kept deducing in his mind and became more and more certain of the feasibility of this plan. Chapter 532 Wedding. In a blink of an eye, another half-month has passed. At this moment, the overall infrastructure of the Earth, including the surrounding environment, has naturally been repaired with current technology and engineering means. Void Island outside the Earth. A starship comparable to an asteroid is suspended outside the Earth. Li Yu held Chen Kai-ong's hand and slowly boarded the starship. Yan and many powerful people among humans also boarded it. Under Li Yu's amazing jump ability, the action of harvesting the strong has been basically completed. Humanity has also ushered in a rare period of development and peace. The rulers of various races and ancient creatures are also rarely quiet. In other words, after witnessing Li Yu's strength, they had to follow their hearts, shrink back, and stop making trouble. For a time, the human reputation became quiet. So the main ship crew's activity, which was originally important, also became relaxed. After a discussion, everyone decided to hold a wedding ceremony on Li Yi's starship, and hold the wedding ceremony of Li Yi and Chen Kai-ong's. Then, take an interstellar honeymoon trip. Except for a small number of strong people who need to stay, the strong people above the middle and high stages of human heavenly positions have also arrived one after another. In addition, Li Yi's classmates who had a good relationship with the early special class were also invited, including Yao Shiwen, Ke Xiaodong, Tan Horan, Sun Duxiu, Zhuo Ying, Zhang Zuyan, Zhang Zuqiang, and others. These are the peers and friends that Li Yi first made on the Yaoqi ship. There are also several experts and instructors that he is familiar with on the Yaoqi ship. For example, Ma Ruhu and Liang's Hishan. Lao Liang has now broken through the heavenly position, but Lao Ma is still stuck, just one step away. There are also 3 senior heavenly positions, including Ten Baixin, Zhang Wanlin, and Lin Xian, the captain of the Yaoqi, Kufu, and Zhiri ships. There are also some acquaintances in the other main ships, such as Ning Fiayu, Lei Guanggaiao, Zhang Pengting, Lin Huai, Hu Yidan, Teng Zhili, Lin Xiaohu, Tan Haod, Su Weilu, Lin Xiu, etc. These people are basically friends who met when they participated in the Youth Mecha Master competition last time. The relationship has continued until the exploration of the ruins of the Earth and until the war, and they are still familiar with each other. These people have also improved in strength in recent times, and with the popularization of bodybuilding equipment, they have made progress. For example, Ning Fiayu, whose talent is unique among the young generation, has already broken through the heavenly rank and reached the middle stage of the heavenly rank. In addition, Lei Guanggaiao, Lin Xiu, Su Weilu, and Tan Haod have also broken through the heavenly rank and are quite powerful. Lin Huai, who was seriously injured before, has also been successfully treated and has recovered a certain amount of strength. There are also Mu Xianlei and Lin Wenzhong, 2 heavenly ranks who helped Li Yi a lot before. Now they have reached the high stage of the heavenly rank and are very close to the strongest. In addition, Tu Kuogai, an old acquaintance, has also broken through the strongest and is now extraordinary. Other veteran strongests include Duan Mushuang, Zhao Yi, Feng Hai, the brothers Ma Yu and Ma Zhao, Deputy Captain Zhao Pingchuan, and several new strongests such as Tan Yaozu, Lu Yunchen, He Guangzi, and Chen Yanxiang, who are also familiar faces. Above the demigod level, there are Lin Jianlong, Qin Longchuan Shuanglong, and Yan. Most of the other strong men at all levels who have certain relationships, except those who need to stay behind due to their duties, have come here. In the Starship Hall, the human high level gathered together. Lian Ming and He Ming, 2 supreme-level people with close ties to humans, also came. They appeared on the scene in their physical bodies, attracting everyone's attention and secretly amazed. There were other strong men, such as Gu Xian Wang, who had been subdued by Li Yi. But they were too big, so they naturally had no chance to participate in this wedding ceremony. The bionic waiters pushed cart after cart of drinks, cakes, and barbecues. Everyone was dressed in formal attire, each occupying a small circle, chatting, laughing, and discussing. Among the group of Yaochi ship special class, they were the weakest in average strength. But they were also the youngest, and in recent days, they had also enjoyed the benefits of the bodybuilding equipment for the first time. Their strength was basically floating in the upper level, which was not bad. Xiaodong took a sip of the wine, burped comfortably, squinted his eyes and savored the taste of high energy, and said, "It's great, I didn't expect that I, Xiaodong, would have the honor to participate in such a high-level event today." He looked around and exclaimed, "This is Li Yi's current appeal. Look, here, the strong people of the heavenly rank come out as if they are free. There are really too many rare generals, governors, secretaries general, captains of all levels, and the general speaker of the earth." Tan Horan glanced at Xiaodong and said speechlessly, "You'd better keep a low profile. If you meet a strong person here, you can be killed. What are you afraid of? This can be the wedding scene of the Lord Yi, who is awe-inspiring in the universe. Who is so blind to make trouble?" Xiaodong smiled. Nowadays, with the migration of the earth, under the explanation of the federal propaganda machine, humans have gradually understood some truths of the ancient times, and know that above the strongest, there are demigods, quasi-gods, supremes, masters and other strong people. The reason why they are so confident in propaganda is, of course, because humans have a Lord Yi who sweeps across the universe. Of course, this kind of confidence-boosting thing would be spread widely without any effort. Liang Zhishan came over with a goblet in his hand, smiling. "Why don't you two go somewhere else? It's a rare trip, so you can just meet some beautiful female mecha masters and solve your single problem." "Why are you talking nonsense here?" Tan Horan shrugged and said, "Xiaodong and Zhuo Ying have already confirmed their relationship, so of course he doesn't dare to casually chat up a female mecha master under her nose. As for me, I don't even have a heavenly position now. How dare I humiliate myself? Among the human strongmen present, there are very few people below the heavenly position." Liang Zhishan smiled and patted Tan Horan on the shoulder. "Don't have such a big mental burden. Maybe there are housewives who like you, a strong guy? Come on, let your brother Tan Haod introduce you to a few." After pulling and tugging, he pulled Tan Horan away. Liang Zhishan pulled Tan Horan away, and Xiaodong became bored. Because no one was bragging with him. For example, Yao Shiwen, although she also came here, she never smiled. Zhuo Ying and Zhang Zuyin were accompanying her, so Xiaodong didn't dare to offend her. Everyone in the group knew that Yao Shiwen liked Li Yi, but they didn't expect that Li Yi would be taken advantage of by the instructor. When Xiaodong heard the news, he was also extremely shocked. He thought to himself, "Li Yi, you boy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, even managed to seduce the instructor." Although the instructor was strict at the beginning, his appearance and charm were real. With the special temperament of an older sister and the special support of the instructor, in Xiaodong's mind, the little girl Yao Shiwen was still slightly inferior. Who among the group of young men in the special selection class didn't have a few fantasies? At this time, Sun Duxiu came over with a large piece of barbecue and said excitedly, "Brothers, take a look. This is said to be the super barbecue of the supreme divine creature. After eating a bite, you will feel the energy in your body surging, and your physical body will be strengthened a lot. Go and eat it." The opportunity to break through the heavenly level is here. Xiaodong was speechless. He didn't expect that old Sun was still so bad at reading the atmosphere. "Didn't you see that the pressure here is about to drop?" He pulled Sun Duxiu away and whispered, "You are too loud, keep a low profile." "Didn't you see that Yao Shiwen is very unhappy recently?" Sun Duxiu was stunned. "Why is Yao Shiwen unhappy?" "Because Li Yi was seduced by the instructor. What else?" "Hey, what's the matter?" "I think Yao Shiwen is too shy. She was obviously the first to come, and she has a close relationship with Li Yi. She should have taken the initiative at the beginning. Now the child can help with soy sauce. Why is she still sulking there?" Sun Duxiu shrugged. "There's only one core word in his dictionary, that is, do it. No matter what it is, do it first." So he didn't care about Yao Shiwen's current defeated look. Anyway, he was as strong as Yao Shiwen now, and at most he was burned by Yao Shiwen's anger. Xiaodong said, "Then you don't know how strong Yao Shiwen's hints to Li Yi were at the beginning, almost to the point of explicit hints, but Li Yi was devoted to cultivation and didn't pay attention. I wonder when Li Yi and the instructor had any signs." Sun Duxiu shook his head. "Who knows? I was also shocked when I heard the news at first, but when I think about it carefully, There are probably not many female mecha masters who can match a strong man like Li Yi. Let's not talk about the instructor. Her appearance, personality and character are all excellent. Anyway, among the female mecha masters I know, only the instructor can barely keep up with Li Yi's pace. Xingyu touched his chin and said, I think so. After all, there are few female mecha masters in the heavenly position. The two of them looked at Yao Shiwen inadvertently, only to find that Yao Shiwen had left at some point. Hey, where did Sister One go? Xingyu asked Zuo Ying. She said she was going to take a walk alone, Zuo Ying answered. Xingyu's eyes lit up. Could it be that Sister One has thought it through and wants to confess to Li Yi? Zuo Ying rolled her eyes at Xingyu and shook her head. Sister One is not such a fool. There are so many strong people here and the scale is so large. Sister One should not ruin Brother Yi's wedding. On the other side, the circle of the youth mecha competition and the Earth exploration team. Good wine. Lin Guotao drank a glass of wine in big gulps, and felt that his body and mind were much more refreshed. I don't know what raw materials this wine uses, but it actually contains extremely strong energy. As soon as he drank it, he felt that the divine gene in his body was ready to move and was about to generate a new one. Ningfiao, your sweetheart Li Yi is getting married. Do you have anything to say? Lin Guotao drank the wine in a gulp, his head was dizzy, and he was no longer afraid of Ningfiao, and he smiled and joked directly. Ningfiao glanced at Lin Guotao lightly, and the eyes were calm, and it seemed that there was a knife intent hidden, which suddenly woke Lin Guotao up from his drunkenness. Haha, just ignore what I said, just ignore what I said. Lin Guotao turned and walked away. Several people on the side were all laughing secretly. This unlucky kid actually forgot who is the strongest here. Ningfiao is extremely talented. If it weren't for Li Yi, she would have won the first place in the youth competition. Now that time has been extended and bodybuilding equipment has become more popular, her talent advantage has been magnified, and her strength has naturally improved. She is quite close to the 7th stage of the heavenly position. With this strength, it is more than enough to crush Lin Guotao. This guy was also drunk and actually poked Ningfiao's sore spot. Although it was very obscure, everyone noticed that Ningfiao had a strong liking for Li Yi. And an excellent woman like her, I am afraid that after seeing a strange man like Li Yi, I am afraid that there will be no room for other men in her eyes. Su Weilu patted Ningfiao on the shoulder and smiled. Why don't we go and reminisce with Li Yi later? Li Yi doesn't seem like the kind of person who would ignore us after taking off. Ningfiao wanted to refuse, but she took the words back after they came out of her mouth. She tightened her fair face and nodded slowly. The others also agreed and prepared to go and say hello and take a group photo. At this time, Tang Zhili, Zhang Pengting, Yi Xiu and others also decided to go together. This group of young masters gathered together and walked towards Li Yi, who was standing at the door taking pictures. Since it was such a grand wedding, there must be a group photo. As the parties to this wedding, Li Yi and Chen Kaiyongzi could not escape. Wearing a handsome military uniform, with 3 stars and 3 bars on the shoulders and multiple badges, it is the corresponding accessories and etiquette for the highest-ranking generals in the federal system. Chen Kaiyongzi also wore a beautiful wedding dress, which was bright white and translucent, and the material was soft. It was gathered into multiple laces, elegant and simple. With her long legs, high looks, and the aura of a strong man who had been pulled to the semigod level by Li Yi, it also added a lot of luxurious charm. At this moment, Chen Kaiyongzi was undoubtedly the most beautiful woman in the whole place. All acquaintances who passed by would doubt their eyes. Is this still the same iron-blooded instructor? It turns out that Chen Kaiyongzi has such a strong foundation. With a little dressing up, this temperament and charm suddenly surpassed the original Chen Kaiyongzi by several levels. Although Li Yi is already an unprecedented strong man in human history, and even created a universe. But in this occasion, he is indeed not immune to the common customs. Together with Chen Kaiyongzi, he was gathered by a bunch of familiar and unfamiliar people to ask for a group photo. After all, Li Yi is still young now. Even if he has the bearing of a strong man, he has not yet reached the point of leaving his original social circle and becoming an immortal lonely person. Human beings have generally not reached the stage where the lifespan of old strong men is exhausted and they are dying one after another. Now is the strongest and most peak time in human history. At this time, Yao Shiwen came over alone. She was wearing a light pink long dress at the moment, with her long smooth hair tied back to form a bun that matched her natural face very well. There were pearls hanging from her earlobes, making her pink face even more radiant. Her dress was low-shouldered and tude-cut, with a stunning touch of whiteness and lines at the corners of her skirt, but it did not match her daily energetic style, adding a rare mature charm to her, which was particularly eye-catching. Everyone passing by was also amazed by Yao Shiwen, secretly marveling at her, and couldn't help but look at her many times, and then her female companion quietly grabbed her ear and turned her head with an innocent face. Yao Shiwen quietly waited for the other people who wanted to take a photo with her to leave one after another, and walked up. "Long time no see, Li Yi," she said softly. Li Yi had been holding Chen Kaiongzi's hand. When he saw Yao Shiwen coming over, he nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Long time no see, Yao Shiwen. How are you lately?" Yao Shiwen opened her mouth, with a lot to say, but she didn't know what to say. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 533 Obsession. Yao Shiwen had already thought of the lines. She originally just wanted to say congratulations, express her happiness and blessings for the good things of the two acquaintances. But when the words came to the point, she was stuck. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar face in front of her, feeling the strong aura that Li Yi deliberately suppressed. She remembered the heart-beating moments in the past. People will always be trapped for a lifetime by the unattainable things in their youth. Yao Shiwen has gotten everything since she was a child, but at this moment, she knows that she has never gotten what she really wants. She has only been with Li Yi for a few months, and she also knows that her strength cannot keep up with Li Yi, and she will most likely become a passerby in Li Yi's life. However, it seems impossible not to say something. She wants to put an end to her infatuation here. If it is not a period, then she hopes it is a starting number. Li Yi and Chen Kaiongzi both smiled at Yao Shiwen. Chen Kaiongzi is also Yao Shiwen's instructor. He has taught her for more than half a year and understands her temperament. However, Chen Kaiongzi didn't pay much attention to love affairs before, but she didn't pay much attention to Yao Shiwen's subtle feelings for Li Yi. Until today, when she saw Yao Shiwen's expression, she immediately understood something and immediately glanced at Li Yi. Then, looking at Yao Shiwen, seeing that she was hesitant to speak, she simply smiled and said, "You little girl, it's not a good idea to stand here, come over and take a photo first." "Oh?" Yao Shiwen was stunned by Chen Kaiongzi's hand and pulled to Chen Kaiongzi's side, and then took 7 or 8 photos under the flashing of a celestial photographer. It was not until she walked out of the photo area that Yao Shiwen's face turned red, and her slender neck was dyed with a beautiful pink. She just wanted to slap herself in the face. How come she couldn't say anything when the time came? Yao Shiwen, why have you become so timid? She wanted to go back and tell her. But at this moment, the short free time in the photo area had passed, and another group of people rushed over. She looked sideways and found that there were 2 women with outstanding looks among this group of people. One of them looked at Li Yi with a more subtle look, which reminded her of herself. She was slightly stunned. Yes, with a genius like Li Yi, a great hero of mankind, who is strong and handsome, it is normal for so many women to admire him. I should be the weakest one among so many people. Even if my family has a big business in the Federation, what's the use? Wealth, in this era, is just the result of strength. Now, even if I tell Li Yi my thoughts, what's the point? How can I be worthy of him with my fighting power? His enemies are all terrifying strong men who are powerful enough to shock the universe and have been active for more than several eras, and I have just come to power now, and my lifespan is only 400 or 500 years. How can I be worthy of Li Yi? I want to become stronger. I didn't practice hard and diligently enough in the past. I also want to become a demigod and a strong man who can live for a long time. Yao Shiwen strengthened her belief. She was not fighting for something. She just wanted to fulfill the obsession in her heart. Whether or not you get it is no longer important. Li Yi saw Yao Shiwen leave, and shook his head in his heart. Would he not know Yao Shiwen's thoughts? Of course he knew. But he had never thought of Yao Shiwen as a lover before. In his heart, Yao Shiwen is a very good friend and a very good comrade in arms. There is a lack of space for further development, but opportunities. Maybe one day in the future, Different ideas will sprout, but now, let's bless her. I hope she can figure out what she really wants. Although I am strong, I will not deliberately interfere with such human emotions and subtle emotions. In his early days, when he absorbed a lot of memory fragments, he had a lot of rich experience. In his opinion, the so-called love of many people is nothing more than the impulse of hormones. I believe that Yao Shuwen will forget me after a long time. Of course, as a former good friend and a good friend who helped me a lot, Li Yu will naturally not be stingy with help. This wedding invited many friends in the past, and he was also prepared to take the time to give them a bodybuilding exercise after the ceremony. The effect of his own bodybuilding for them is naturally far better than the effect of bodybuilding equipment. This can be regarded as a gift to them after I became stronger. Other people who are not familiar with me naturally do not have this treatment. Even if I can be called the strongest pillar of mankind, I don't have so much free time to help a lot of people with bodybuilding. It is enough to continuously optimize the bodybuilding equipment so that humans can enjoy a better level of bodybuilding. If there are really new geniuses born, who are beneficial to the long-term development of mankind and help him a lot, he will naturally not begrudge this effort. At this time, Ning Xiaoyu and a few others also gathered to take a group photo. Ning Xiaoyu's performance was much calmer than Yao Shuwen. When taking a group photo, she quietly stood on the right side of Li Yu and approached in a very natural manner. The dress Ning Xiaoyu wore today was also dazzling and eye-catching. A jade white long skirt, a slender figure, and a face like moonlight, which was not much inferior to Chen Kai-ong's. People who were new and unfamiliar thought it was a one vogue two wedding and found it very interesting. Of course, this is always a minority. Most of them still showed a few subtle colors, with both the feeling of watching a good show and the joy of feasting their eyes. On the side, Chen Kai-ong's saw this scene and remained calm. She didn't mean to claim sovereignty. Anyway, she had already got the best, so there was no need to fight too much. Moreover, with Li Yi's respected status, it was not appropriate to do something strange in front of him. Just let things develop normally. Chen Kai-ong's was very calm in her heart. After the group photo, Ning Xiaoyu said to Li Yi, "Respected Lord Yi, I wish you a happy wedding and a happy day with your sister-in-law." After blessing, she swung her long skirt and left calmly. This performance made Lin Guotao and others amazed. As expected of Ning Xiaoyu, who has been strong all her life, this blessing seems to be a blessing, but in fact it contains a mystery. Only blessing this day, but not blessing other days? Tisk tisk, this guy, doesn't he know that arrogant people will not die well? Liang Zhishan patted Lin Guotao on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Don't laugh. Who in this world can firmly make the best choice in such a matter?" The few people left with laughter. Li Yu's eyes turned around Ning Xiaoyu for a few circles, and then cast on another person. Lin Xiaoyu. This person has a handsome appearance and smiles the whole time. It seems that there is nothing wrong with him. But as Li Yu's realm rises to an unprecedented terrifying level, a person can't escape his eyes even if he hides. So that's it, Lin Xiaoyu has had problems for a long time. Chapter 534 Ceremony. It's not just Lin Xiaoyu who has problems, there's also Su Weilu. Li Yu's eyes also circled around Su Weilu. There's something wrong with these two guys. Su Weilu's situation should have caused problems when she was invaded by the mysterious thoughts before. But the problem is not that she has been replaced by the mysterious thoughts. The mysterious thoughts invaded her soul and activated some power inside her soul. Su Weilu's soul is very similar to the original Saint Lu, who was rescued in Wudao Mountain before. The original Saint Lu is the second version copied by the Gourd Man. And Su Weilu's soul is more like the original version, in an unchanged state. In other words, Su Weilu is most likely the original version of Lu, the soul of the floating corpse in space. Then, Su Weilu is the human who has survived from the ancient Earth to the present. Li Yu did not peek into the secrets in Su Weilu's brain. Since Su Weilu currently does not pose a high threat, he will ignore her. Human history is also long, and it is not surprising that there are several people with unique talents among them. As for Lin Xiaoyu, he should have been quietly invaded by the mysterious thoughts when he entered planet number 44 last time, and took the opportunity to leave. The mysterious thoughts disappeared from Zhang Chaokun's clone before, and Li Yu was curious about the specific path he took to leave. Now I understand that these mysterious thoughts have gathered in Lin Xiaoyu's mind and quietly lurked. It is very subtle, even Dao Hunyan, who are proficient in the soul, can't see it. Only at this moment, Li Yi is gradually proficient in the root law, and can see the subtle changes in the material level and the life level, so that he can see the mysterious thoughts lurking in Lin Xiu's mind. Haha, it takes no effort to find it after searching everywhere. Wait until the wedding is over, and ask Lin Xiu what the origin of this mysterious thought is, and why it has become such a big enemy of me. As for Ning Fiao and Yao Shiwen, let time solve their problems. The ceremony began. The master of ceremonies is He Guangzi, and the witness is Lin Jianlong. Originally, everyone wanted Yan to be the master of ceremonies, but Yan said that he had to prepare a program and didn't have time. So in the end, the job of MC was handed over to He Guangzi. As a new generation commander and a powerful person, He Guangzi was suitable to be the MC. Moreover, compared with Liu Yansheng's recklessness and Tan Yaozu's old-fashionedness, his style was relatively stable and not prone to trouble. So Li Yi had no objection. At this moment, Chen Kaiyongzi's long white gauze skirt was lifted by the elf state Shi, holding Li Yi's hand, and slowly walked into the hall. The spotlight shone over. The graceful lines like a swan's neck caught everyone's eyes. Wow, the bride is so beautiful. I didn't expect that. We have fought interstellar wars all our lives and we still have the opportunity to participate in such activities. That's good. The internal and external troubles have basically subsided, and there is only one disaster left. Now most people can relax. The retirement life I have dreamed of for a long time is finally here. Oh, time flies so fast. Some experts and old people who watched Chen Kaiyongzi grow up couldn't help but shed tears. There was a sense of relief for the end of the past war, a sense of sadness for the coming of a new era, and a wonderful emotion like a daughter getting married. Compared to Li Yi's relatively shallow foundation in the Yaoqi ship, Chen Kaiyongzi knew many more people in the Yaoqi ship. Her parents died in the war with the Tu tribe when she was very young, so Chen Kaiyongzi grew up eating food from hundreds of families in the Yaoqi ship. Many of those experts did not have a family, or lost their other half because of the family. Chen Kaiyongzi's existence also brought them hope to continue to hold on in the Yaoqi ship. Walking in the middle of the road covered with colorful flowers, Chen Kaiyongzi felt the gazes of the crowd and held Li Yi's hand tightly. Li Yi, I feel like I'm dreaming until now, Chen Kaiyongzi spoke in a low voice. Her cheeks seemed to be glowing. She didn't expect that she would be qualified to obtain these happiness. She thought that she would have to devote herself to war and die alone in this life. But she didn't expect that the enemy of mankind would be solved so quickly and so dreamily. Then let's have this dream for a little longer. Li Yi smiled. He walked onto the stage and began the usual ceremony. The witness, Lin Jianlong, wanted to do something and say some dirty talk, but suddenly saw Yan's eyes behind the stage urging him to get it done quickly, so he curled his lips and finished the lines he had memorized in advance. The two exchanged rings and kissed face to face in public, which attracted a lot of whistles and boos. When the ceremony was completed and they sat down, Yan's show came. The lights dimmed and the whole place was dark. Even the powerful Lin Jianlong couldn't see what was in front of him. Was this to ban all the light present? Enemy attack? When Lin Jianlong was slightly startled, he quickly realized that Li Yi beside him was very calm, so he calmed down. That's right, there are tall people to hold up the sky when it falls. He used to be tall and had to bear many difficulties. But now Li Yi is the most powerful in the crowd, and he is not panicking, which means this is just a normal situation. However, Lin Jianlong also felt a little strange in his heart. Could it be that Yan's strength has recovered? Otherwise, how could the light be sealed in one fell swoop? Even he couldn't sense it. Immediately afterwards, a slight tremor from the soul spread to the depths of everyone's soul. Is this a kind of music that penetrates the soul? The beautiful tune and light melody sounded in the depths of everyone's soul. For a moment, everyone attending the meeting felt that some deep injuries in the depths of their souls were smoothed out and became softer. Indistinctly, someone keenly felt that this was a kind of soft music that could permanently grow the soul for everyone. It seems that this is the program prepared by Yan. As a gift, it is indeed precious. Li Yi was also listening to the beauty of it and nodded secretly. Not to mention, Yan's gift is really good. Even he, with such a strong soul, can still feel the large amount of redundant memory fragments accumulated in the depths of his subconscious mind, and there is a performance of accelerated digestion. With the increase of his immortal soul characteristics, the amount of memory fragments digested has increased dramatically, and a batch of redundant memories have indeed accumulated in the depths of his subconscious mind. Originally, Li Yi would clean it up regularly, But with Yen's wave of soul music, it can be resolved faster. The light just now is sealed off as an auxiliary means to allow everyone in the venue to focus on the soul. She is thoughtful, and she is worthy of being a good assistant sent by my future self. In a blink of an eye, the song ended. After that, other strong men were prepared and took the stage one after another, each with their own unique skills. Either they were cool or they had growth effects, which made the people attending the conference feel that they had feasted their eyes and made the trip worthwhile. Haha, only at the wedding of Lord Yi can we see so many well-known strong men take the initiative to perform on stage. In this regard, people like Kei Xiaodong felt that they had something to talk about and were very excited. Chapter 535 Lin Xiu. After the ceremony, Li Yi gave all the powerful people who attended the meeting a small portion of the original energy that he had transformed as a gift. This part of the original energy is the output of his small universe, which he has studied recently. In terms of efficacy, although it is far inferior to the genuine original energy, but he has modified it to be very suitable for humans, which can increase the strength of the gene chain, enhance the overall strength of the divine gene, and the strength of the physical body. After that, he left Lin Xiu alone. Lin Xiu was shocked at first, but soon calmed down and left quietly. There was a secret room in front. Others were also surprised. Did these two people have no friendship? Moreover, after the ceremony, Li Yi didn't go out with a bride, but went to a man to chat privately? There were many suspicious people about this. Only a few people vaguely guessed what was going on. For example, Mu Xianli, who had experienced a mysterious thought incident, showed an expression of all his thoughts on his face. Could it be that Lin Xiu is Li Yi's long-lost brother? Mu Xianli said in shock. Lin Wendong glanced at Mu Xianli speechlessly. You are so stupid. In the secret room, Li Yi sat on a master's chair, looking relaxed. Lin Xiu, from your appearance, do you know why I am looking for you? Lin Xiu stood 6 meters away from Li Yi, his eyes deep and his face calm. Of course, since you have revealed it, I have nothing to hide. I didn't expect that you are so high now that you can see through my soul disguise. So, you are the spirit god? The spirit god defeated by the soul god? Yes, it's me. Lin Xiu was not surprised that Li Yi revealed his identity, and smiled faintly. It seems that you have also learned a lot of ancient secrets. It's a pity that even if you are the reincarnation of the soul god, I am not afraid. I am just a small part of the aggregation of thoughts. Even if it is destroyed here, it doesn't matter. The reincarnation of the soul god? Li Yi was surprised. In the eyes of the spirit god, he is a soul god? This is not right. If he is really a soul god, at least he should have memories of the ancient times, right? Or did something go wrong? Or did the spirit god mistake me for some of my characteristics? Just like Long Wei mistaken me for Liming 2ie before? I am Li Yi, the Yi master of the world, not a soul god. Li Yi denied the spirit god's statement. Lin Xiu shrugged and said, even if you don't recognize it, it's useless. Your soul characteristics clearly reveal a taste of dead silence that is unique to soul gods. The innate power of soul gods has one point, which is that they can absorb the soul memories of living beings and use them for themselves, and your soul is also covered with countless traces of foreign soul fragments. Even if your innate power is strengthened and you can completely digest these soul fragments, the traces will still be left. Maybe you haven't awakened the memory of the soul god, but in my eyes, you are the soul god. Li Yi was speechless. His talent is different from that of the soul god and Liming 2ie. What he absorbed are all the real memories of his own parallel world. Of course, he can completely digest himself by absorbing himself. No matter how powerful others are when absorbing others, they will still suffer from indigestion and get stuck at a certain limit. But I am different. I absorb myself and have never had a bottleneck. The only time I absorbed the memory fragments about Liming 2ie, and the subsequent ancient memory fragments, were also obtained from the memory clues given by Wudao Mountain. According to the description, the innate power of the soul god is to absorb others, which is different from myself. In other words, the spirit god who will be restored in the future wants to kill the current me because he thinks he is the soul god? Is it possible that I'm not a soul god at all? Li Yi said, I heard that the soul god had already achieved enlightenment and transcended, so how could he be reincarnated now? Lin Xiu sneered, I have already fallen, and was not able to revive until the recent era. How can he be fine? Everyone thinks that after the spirit god achieved enlightenment, he was killed by the soul god, but in fact, Both the spirit god and the soul god fell when they failed to transcend. It's not just me and the soul god, even the yang god and gai god may not succeed in transcending. People only saw them disappear, but in fact, only after trying to transcend. Do you know what the end of transcendence is? That is endless and infinite terror. It is terror that even the holy god cannot withstand. Hearing this, Li Yu narrowed his eyes. He judged that Lin Xiu's words at this moment were true. There were no lies or falsehoods. Endless terror that even the holy god cannot withstand. Yes, a trace of fear flashed in Lin Xiu's eyes, and then disappeared. At that time, Soul God and I agreed to start a war and slaughter all living beings in the universe to prove the truth of the Holy Spirit. You must be wondering, with my innate power, the more living beings I have, the stronger my combat power is, so why do I need to slaughter? In fact, my strength has reached the top, even better than Soul God. If I slaughter living beings, I can try to make up for the defects in the law and perfect the dying part. So, I took the lead in proving the truth and saw the opportunity to transcend the universe. So, I could no longer care about anything else, and directly broke away from the constraints of the universe and sprinted to the high-dimensional world outside the universe. I can feel that the high-dimensional universe contains endless high-dimensional energy, which can help me condense the body of the Holy Spirit and completely complete the holy transformation, indestructible and immortal. However, on the way to the high-dimensional universe, endless darkness and endless terror suddenly attacked. In just a moment, I was knocked down and shrank back into the universe. In this round trip, Soul God also completed the truth and caught up. He had me delaying him, so he didn't encounter the endless terror right away. He touched the boundary of the higher dimensional universe more and absorbed more energy from it. Unfortunately, he still didn't enter the higher dimensional universe before he was found by the endless terror and was knocked down directly. He fell back into the universe before and after me. At that time, I, like my soul and spirit, suffered unprecedented and horrific damage. In order to repair myself, I had to frantically activate the power of the Holy Spirit and absorb the ancient laws of the remaining creatures in the universe to make up for the deficiency. Unfortunately, even so, it only gave us a few more chances to survive. When the time comes, my soul and body will have to perish, and my body and soul will be annihilated and die. Fortunately, during that time gap, I left behind the idea of revival, stayed in the world, and fell ahead of time. Only then did I accumulate enough strength to recover in these 10 billion years and revive again. I was more seriously injured, but I was able to revive. Your soul and spirit are in a lighter condition, and you have another chance. You must have gotten ahead, right? As Lin Xiu spoke calmly, Li Yu's expression became more and more strange. Chapter 536 Conspiracy. From what Lin Xiu said, could it be that this mysterious thought is not his real enemy in the future? Although he doesn't get along with his soul god, from his tone and description, it seems that he has no hatred for the soul god. At most, he just doesn't get along with him. Could it be a dispute over the laws? Li Yu thought in his heart and said, I'm sorry, I'm neither a soul god nor have anything to do with you, but you told me these first-hand information today, which is good. I need to meet with your real body. Can you arrange it? Meet with a real body? Upon hearing this, Lin Xiu's words suddenly stagnated. How could I let you meet the real body? If you meet now, who knows how you will deal with me? The soul god has not yet recovered to its best condition. At this time, I think I am not Li Yu's opponent. You are joking, sir. I would rather not have these clones than let you meet them, Lin Xiu said, but I am not afraid to tell you that my real body is hiding in the space-time layer outside the universe. If you can find it, go find it. If you find it, you can kill me without hesitation. This is also a conspiracy. If Li Yu really spends a lot of time on this search, that is like looking for a needle in a haystack, delaying his practice, then when his real body completely recovers its strength, it will be Li Yu who should worry about it. Li Yu touched his chin and said, hidden in the space-time layer outside the universe? It can be hidden. By the way, what is the purpose of the spirit god? If he recovers his strength, does he want to continue to rush to the higher dimensional universe, or stay in the universe to search for ways to deal with the endless terror? Lin Xiu said, I will not reveal this to you. I can tell you about the situation, which is almost the end. You only have two choices now, either kill my clone on the spot, or keep it. We will have the opportunity to cooperate when we meet in the future. Li Yu smiled and said, don't worry, I will definitely not kill you now. You can go. Within the human territory, as long as you don't do anything out of the ordinary, you are free to do whatever you want. But if you do something beyond the normal human, I can crush you to death with just a thought. Within the human territory, a thought can crush you to death? Lin Xiu's heart shuddered. He did not doubt Li Yi's words. For a person of his status, the harsh words he said at this level are all real and cannot be false. Although he had infinitely overestimated the recovery of this soul god, he did not expect that it could reach this level. You know, the current territory of mankind has included the burning, silent, part of the Feather God star field, and the areas where a large number of dominant supreme ancient creatures remain. These places add up to nearly a quarter of the universe. And his current clone, on the surface, seems to be a heavenly position, but under the blessing of that batch of convergent thoughts, it actually has the strength of a stable quasi-god and a short-term supreme. And Li Yi, the reincarnation of the soul god in his heart, can easily crush him to death with his thoughts. This kind of strength has surpassed most of the law gods and can be compared with a few law gods of the chaos period that are still in the world. No, even a strong man like Sui Shan may not be able to accomplish this behavior. At the very least, the range of instant control is not as good as the range that Li Yi just mentioned. It can be seen that Li Yi's strength must have greatly improved since the last creation of the world. Could it be that the increase brought by the creation of the world is higher than I expected? Lin Xiu was secretly surprised, or did he just use his own small universe to achieve some tricky operations? Yes, that should be the case, but even if it is just so, it should not be underestimated. It seems that the soul god has gained a lot from being infinitely close to the high-dimensional universe before. Alice, I was still careless at the time. I was so focused on transcendence that I didn't even consider the risks. No, maybe it was the feeling of infinite control that made me lost. Yang God and Gaia God, who extracted a large number of stellar life companion ancient laws, probably fell into the same situation. Li Yi deciphered Lin Xiu's thoughts and shook his head in his heart. This guy seems to be unwavering in his belief that he is the soul god. Well, let it go. He did not choose to kill Lin Xiu. On the one hand, he judged that the spirit god might not be his future enemy. On the other hand, it was because it was just a clone, and it would be useless to kill it. On the third hand, it was also to monitor Lin Xiu and find out the location of the spirit god. After all, this was once a saintly being. Even if he fell, his cognitive level was still there. It was impossible to find him with ordinary methods. Li Yi had already tried this when he saw Lin Xiu and saw his problem. Therefore, letting Lin Xiu go now was mainly to find the moment when he was in contact with the original body. If he grasped it well, he should have a chance to locate the coordinates of the spiritual god. After sending Lin Xiu away, Li Yi took the time to dive deep into his own small universe. This was his daily homework after he completed the creation of the world. The main task was naturally to maintain the high-dimensional whole, which had not been completely stabilized. The second was to accelerate the universe's digestion of those living dead strongmen, and to cut off some conceptual laws in a small range and send them back to the main universe. The cut parts were all those that the small universe had already digested and began to derive new sources. The advantage of doing this is to continue to prevent the small universe from being assimilated by the main universe, and it would be much easier when it was completely cut off in the future. Otherwise, when the tree is big and the roots are deep, the damage caused by the cutting will be not small. Secondly, in order to promote the circulation of the microcosm, he experimentally edited and input some life codes on various planets. The lives compiled in these life codes are different, including lightning, wind, cloud, water, light, stone, metal, etc. A small range of inputs were made in all aspects, which is equivalent to planting the seeds of life. Now is the time to observe the harvest of these life codes. If these life seeds give birth to their own prosperous lives and gradually comprehend the laws in the universe will continue to grow under the interaction with intelligent life. Moreover, this is also the way that Li Yi has the greatest hope. Once completed, the increase in the microcosm will be greatly boosted due to the improvement of the laws. This is where Li Yi's confidence lies. Considering that he may have to deal with an endless terror of unknown form when he transcends in the future, this microcosm will also be his trump card to deal with endless terror in the future. At this moment, his figure dived deep and came to a place in the form of the Earth. This planet was a one-to-one replica of the Earth by him. The mountains, rivers, and various territories are basically the same as the Earth, and they are very blue. Huh? The earliest batch of intelligent species have actually been formed. Li Yi's sight fell on a plain, and he found that there were some strange-looking little people there. Chapter 537 Wisdom. These little people are not tall, only about 70 to 80 centimeters. It is worth mentioning that they also have limbs and facial features, very similar to humans. But there is a big difference. They are more like canines, with two ears standing upright on the head, and a hairy face, with a lot of yellow hair sticking. At this time, Li Yu noticed that a little person in the mountain spoke. I saw the Lord God descend yesterday. He taught me the supreme magic. As long as you believe in me and offer your loyalty, I will lead you through the difficulties and solve the problem of food and warmth. The language used is relatively rare, not all the common types in the main universe, but Li Yu collected materials and quickly deciphered it. After listening to the words of this little person, Li Yu laughed a little. Isn't this just common? I can send money. Unexpectedly, the effort of casual arrangement, only one day without looking at it, has produced such a great biological evolution. Even the original cult leader has appeared. Although this is related to his deliberate acceleration of the flow of time in the universe. But obviously, it is also related to the enrichment of the original energy and the fact that Gaia's treasure is used to suppress this replica of the Earth. Li Yu's sight moved again and turned to other areas of the replica Earth. It can be seen that the entire continental plate is already covered with green vegetation, with dense forests and many giant trees hundreds of meters high. In various areas, some huge creatures can also be seen, as tall as the dinosaurs that appeared on Earth tens of millions of years ago, more than 10 or 20 meters high. In the sky, there are cloud creatures. They swim lightly like fish. In some high mountain areas, thunder is endless and roaring. These are lightning creatures. In the southern hilly land, metal creatures as big as fists are constantly flapping their wings and flying around like insects. The replica Earth staged a magnificent picture of the eruption of new life in countless places. Although there has been a similar evolution to the original Earth to a certain extent, there are also more differences. Li Yu observed for a while and found that so far, the wisdom that has been generated is that kind of dog-like villain. This kind of dog-like people are all over the replica version of the Earth, and even in the polar regions on both sides, there are few tribes. It can be seen that this kind of dog-like creature has already shown convergent intelligence evolution. On the contrary, other giant creatures, although they are amazingly active, have not yet shown obvious signs of intelligence. There are weak souls, but they basically do not have much wisdom and lack sufficient learning ability. Interesting, why is it that only this kind of dog-like people have wisdom? Li Yu immediately recalled the operation he left on the replica version of the Earth. This is his universe, and he can clearly control all changes. And this is also very helpful for him to comprehend the law of life. When he created the world, he took the law of time and space as the main body and the law of origin as the auxiliary. Now the law of origin has reached the point where the main body is running. Because whether it is the material changes in the universe, the mysterious creation, or the evolution of life, they are all closely related to the law of origin and the law of time and space. Here is more of a maintenance function. I see. Looking back for a moment, Li Yu realized the root cause of the fastest birth of wisdom among dog-like people. It turns out that it is related to the dog mutant that appeared in the 600 millionth year of the birth of the imitation Earth. According to the time ratio between the microcosm and the main universe, 100 million years is equivalent to one day in Li Yu's main universe. This is also the result of his exerting 50% of his strength. The remaining 50% is mainly to prevent accidents. In other words, as long as he wants, he can pull a creature from the main universe in at will, and he can instantly destroy the other party's lifespan. Only those who have practiced a concept body to a very high level can reduce the consumption of lifespan. When he traced back to the specific details, he also instantly realized the role of the corresponding life code in the evolution of wisdom. To comprehend the law of life, in Li Yu's view, is to comprehend enough life codes. Various forms, various microscopic scales, various accidents, different combinations and changes can evolve into a nearly infinite life system. And the crown code among them is undoubtedly the wisdom code. No matter what microscopic scale, what form, the code that can give birth to wisdom is the core that can make his universe more perfect. At this moment, with Li Yi's understanding, he instantly understood how to put new life codes on other planets to accelerate the birth of intelligent life. After understanding this, he took quick action. For example, Jupiter, which is 10,000 times larger than the Earth, can try to give birth to a group of large intelligent creatures to accelerate the evolution of the laws of the universe. With a wave of his hand, A new storm life was born in the violent storm group on the huge replica of Jupiter's cloud layer. This life is very special. It has a weak soul at birth. In just a moment, it surpassed the results of the 600 million years of evolution of the replica Earth. It can be seen that the giant storm that has been sweeping over the replica Jupiter for many years has a tendency to stop slightly, and a pair of huge eyeballs have emerged, staring in the direction of Li Yi, casting a subtle emotion like admiration. Interesting, this is the fun of creating the universe, Li Yi laughed. Just this realization has made up for the effect of digesting the memory fragments of the laws of life in the past few days. Practical operation plus absorbing memory fragments, this effect is the best. In addition, life in the universe is blooming everywhere, and the evolution of this law should be much faster. He looked at the dogmen again, his eyes revealing a look like looking at a treasure. The life genes of these dogmen will obviously produce a lot of evolution. As the number of their population increases, they will inevitably produce a higher average intelligence and evolve more life codes. Add some ingredients to them to speed up their evolution. The question is what to add? Li Yi pondered. While thinking, he turned his eyes to the cult leader just now. In the blink of an eye of Li Yi, this cult leader has gathered a group of followers, established a Yaochao tribe, and regarded himself as the leader of the Yaochao tribe, the high priest of the nest god, and completed the rule of these hundreds of dogmen tribes in the name of divine power. More than 10 years have passed. This high priest of the nest god also led the tribe to build the first batch of tree nests for clustering, avoiding the fate of being eaten by land-based carnivorous species. The rest of the dogmen in the tribe also avoided the fate of being attacked by wind and cold, and the average life expectancy increased from 10 to 20 years. But at this moment, the high priest of the nest god encountered the biggest problem of his life. High priest, the Suharo tribe asked us to provide them with a method of building nests and to join them. Many people in the tribe have been tempted by the barbecue and have defected. What should we do now? Chapter 538 Development. Disputes between tribes? Interesting. Li Yi noticed this scene and became interested. The dispute between the tribes that control fire and the tribes that control the nest can be regarded as a symbolic turning point in the rise of wisdom. The early history of mankind has also gone through a similar path. This kind of cultural inheritance is the key to the establishment of civilization beyond ordinary intelligent species. The formation of a new civilization system gradually moves towards the exploration of the outside world, and then the understanding of various laws will be deepened. Although this process will be very long, under the acceleration of the microcosm, one or two threads can be seen. So, how will this civilization evolve in the future? As soon as this thought came to mind, Li Yi's original idea of adding some ingredients was immediately extinguished. Instead of interfering with this, it is better to see how they will evolve and become a qualified creator god. Only in this way can we see the benefits brought by the evolution of different civilizations. The wisdom code is not immutable. As they acquire more wisdom knowledge and their lives change, their wisdom code also changes slightly. Interesting, this is a sympathetic change of wisdom code, which is rare. It seems that what I have to do next is to provide a stage for the lives, the rest depends on their own performance. I just need to avoid them from going down the evil path of occupying the law. Li Yi understood it in his heart. He continued to observe the development of this tribe, paying attention to the impact of each event change on their wisdom code. At this time, the high priest of the nest god thought about it and made a decision. He said, the Suharo clan has mastered the method of making meat cooked and enhancing the fragrance. It is indeed amazing, but they don't have divine skills, so they can't make the nest strong, resist wild beasts, and withstand wind and rain. We have the Zhao clan, which is the apostle of God's pity. You can't surrender. The confidant was shocked. Now there are less than 50 young and strong men left in our tribe. The rest are old, young, sick and disabled. If we don't surrender, what should we do if they attack us? We won't surrender, but avoid them first. If they attack us, we will avoid them and not confront them head-on. The high priest of the nest god said, those who defected are all idiots. Even if they can build tree nests, their skills are not good. Those with good skills have not defected. The rainy season will begin in a few days. We have a nest to shelter from the rain, but they haven't built it yet, so we can just wait for the heavy rain from the gods to extinguish their fire. As long as their fire is extinguished, they will not be arrogant anymore. At this time, let's go and talk to them. Their momentum is declining. Only by negotiating can we get the best things. If you surrender now, I have supreme magic, which can guarantee you peace of mind. But you will definitely be miserable. The confidant was skeptical. Is this really possible? How did the high priest determine that the rainy season will come in a few days? The high priest of the nest god, I have supreme magic taught by the gods. You just need to follow my footsteps. The next day, the Suho clan attacked. A group of dog people came with bone hammers and bone axes, whistling with their hairy upper bodies bare, like a group of hyenas. The news came from the lookout, and the high priest of the nest god ordered everyone in the tribe to hide in the tree nest. The Suho clan was good at using fire, but it was not to the point of using fire at will, and it was impossible to ignite this wet tree. Facing the avoidance of the Yaochao clan, they watched for a while, and then a group of young and strong dog people climbed up the tree with weapons. At this time, the bone and stone tools were not sharp enough to split the giant tree, but they were all agile and soon climbed up the giant tree. The young and strong men who stayed in the tree nests began to throw stones to knock down the tree climbers. After a struggle, the sky gradually darkened and the Suho clan retreated one after another. The first tribal dispute ended with most of the tree climbers being slightly injured and a few seriously injured. The next day, Suho clan brought charcoal wood torches that had been prepared in advance. It was not easy to ignite in a humid environment, so they suffocated them with smoke. Under the tree of Yaochao clan, there was a large number of relatively dry and withered grass leaves. The flames were slightly burning and white smoke was suspended. Soon, coughs were heard from the tree nests. Shi Yan, the leader of Suho clan, walked to the center of the tree nest surrounded by a group of people and dogs, and said loudly, "All the young and strong men of Yaochao clan, surrender now and you will not be killed, and you can get 3 pieces of delicious barbecue." But no matter how the smoke rose to the sky and the coughs continued, the remaining people of Yaochao clan did not surrender. The remaining people had the best skills and believed in the existence of the nest god, so they did not dare to betray at will. After a busy day, Suho clan returned empty-handed again. Only some young and strong men were left to guard and rotate below. This time, they planned to starve them to death, and then go up to rob these sturdy tree nests. As for the construction skills, they have accepted a group of traders from Yaochao clan. Even if the skills are insufficient, they can temporarily make up for it with the consumption of time. On the 3rd day, it rained heavily. On the 4th day, the rain continued. The situation suddenly reversed. Suho clan could only return to the cave to take shelter from the rain for the time being. But the rain was too heavy in the past 2 days, and the river spread, surging into a huge flood, filling the cave. Most of the young, weak and disabled people in Suho clan tribe were killed at once, and even the young and strong men of Yaochao clan who defected were drowned because the tree nests had not been built yet. Most of Yaochao clan's tree troughs were built on giant trees more than 10 meters high. Although they were also attacked by wind and rain, they were in danger and several tree nests fell. But most of them survived. The heavy rain stopped, the flood subsided, and everyone landed one after another. Because they had stored food in advance, they had gone through a lot of hardships in the past 3 days, but their overall condition was still good. Only a few were attacked by the cold, and they were weak, shivering, and pale. They didn't have much time left. But the eyes of the surviving people did not stay on the dead tribesmen. Death from cold is too common. The confidant knelt in front of the high priest of the nest god fanatically and shouted, "The high priest has the protection of the supreme divine art. We have the nest clan and are the strongest tribe, high priest, great, high priest, great." In the fanatical roar, all the tribes of the nest clan went out and quickly invaded the Suho clan, captured all the male dogmen, and robbed all the female dogmen captives. There were also several young and beautiful female dogmen beside the high priest. They mastered the technology of the Suho, could heat cooked meat, eliminated some diseases, and the population flourished again. The average life expectancy was raised from 20 to 25 years old. The second generation of Yaochao gradually grew, and the population of the tribe reached 500. One day, the chief priest of the nest god sat in front of a bone throne and listened to the pioneering reports of his sons. Chapter 539 Discovery and Creation of Characters. The reason for opening up the wasteland is that their tribe has encountered a population bottleneck. With the current productivity, it can only support 500 dog people. If there are more, once winter comes, the reserves will not be enough. They are still in the fishing and hunting era. Although the entire mountain is rich in products, everything withers in winter, and wintering is a huge problem. The solution proposed in the tribe is to open up the wasteland, find more areas with rich products, and collect more reserve grain and meat. The eldest son of the Nest God High Priest is named Zhang. He followed the Nest God High Priest before he rose to power. Although he is not as good at debate as the High Priest, he is naturally curious. He discovered this kind of spicy plant condiment, which can not only remove fishy smells, but also people who eat it often have better health, and named this plant Zhang. Zhang said, "I failed to open up the wasteland and did not find a suitable place." The High Priest frowned slightly and looked at his second son. The second son is named Kang. He is the second son born after the High Priest captured Suhiro. He was considered a mediocre person by the tribe, with no obvious talent for debate or leadership, so he was assigned to work in the warehouse, responsible for managing the warehouse under the tree built by Yao Chao. Managing a warehouse does not require any special talents, as long as you have enough sense of responsibility. After all, the warehouse involves a lot of winter supplies that have been stored in advance. Many of them will become moldy and smelly if they are not stored properly. They need to follow certain strict steps to ventilate and sweep the dust regularly to avoid moisture. At this time, they have discovered the importance of dryness for the preservation of materials. And it happens that Kang has such a rigid and stubborn loyalty to his duties. Kang said, "I have nothing worth reporting on my recent work. Although I have to open up new land, I basically have no time to open up new land. I am trying to find ways to prevent the warehouse from becoming more humid every day." The High Priest expected that Kang would not gain anything. However, why is it so troublesome to find ways to prevent the warehouse from becoming more humid every day? Why is the warehouse getting more humid every day? It's not the rainy season recently, right? Asked the High Priest. Kang said, "I don't know. I only know that every day when I go there, I can see that the wall becomes damp, and the food near the wall grows white hair." The third son Chai said, "Then, let's use the charcoal that has been swept dry to remove the moisture." "How effective is it?" The High Priest nodded and said, "But try it, Chai. You go and help your second brother." With the help of Chai, the moisture problem in the warehouse was alleviated to a certain extent. Not only that, Chai also found that although the food near the charcoal became drier, it was less likely to grow white hair. In this regard, when Chai was about to expand the experiment, he was rejected by Kang. Kang said, "Winter is coming, and the moisture problem here has also been alleviated. Now if we use all our firewood to bake, people will not have enough to keep warm. After all, logging in winter is much more difficult. And the most important thing is that if the warehouse is accidentally burned here, at least 200 or 300 people in our tribe will die this winter." Chai was surprised. He didn't expect his second brother to be so thoughtful. "Second brother, people in the tribe usually say that you are mediocre. Now I feel that those people in the tribe really don't know what's good for them. Their eyes are like blinded monkeys, they can only jump up and down and comment on right and wrong." Chai sincerely felt sorry for his second brother. Kang shook his head and said, "I am indeed mediocre. I am not as sharp as my eldest brother, nor as smart as you, the third brother. I only know how to do mediocre things day after day." So, Chai's drying experiment stopped for the time being. In a blink of an eye, the hard winter passed. Among the 500 people, more than 20 old and young people died of cold. The tribe held a simple farewell ceremony, buried the bodies on the mountain, and then began the spring collection and hunting work. The eldest son Zhang led 50 young men to the east and continued to open up the land. The second son Kang and the third son Chai agreed to continue the drying experiment. So Kang led 10 young men and another 10 young men led by Chai to the depths of the mountains. Their goal was to collect materials from the mountains at close range and conduct drying experiments. Because the food stored in the warehouse had been eaten up, there was no food for the experiment. 3 days later, Kang and Chai's team dragged the corpse of a creature that looked like a giant chicken with 7 or 8 meters high back to the tribe, attracting a crowd of onlookers. In the tribe, the strong women and children came one after another and praised loudly. The enthusiastic eyes made the young and strong in the team hold their heads high and their spirits high. The High Priest came over with a cane. "Children, it seems that the Nest God has blessed you. You can survive successfully under such a large creature and hunt successfully," Chai said. "It is indeed the blessing of the Nest God. When we saw this giant chicken, we were all scared. We didn't expect that there would be such a terrifying creature deep in the mountains. But when we were about to be swallowed by the giant chicken, a lightning suddenly struck from the white and blue sky and killed the giant chicken, Chai's words attracted a frenzy among the tribe, and they kept thanking the nest god. It was the first time since the establishment of the tribe that they hunted such a huge creature. Their weapons were only mediocre, and their body size was generally within 1 meter, so their strength was not particularly great. Therefore, their hunting targets are usually those palm-sized rodents and rabbits. The one who made the move was naturally Li Yi. He had originally decided not to make the move. However, considering that Chai and Kang were related to the key issue of the Yaochao tribe's food reserves, if they died at this time, it would undoubtedly make the solution they just found aborted, and it would take another long time to find a solution. Therefore, Li Yun made a move at the last moment before they died, and sent a thunderbolt to kill the giant chicken. Next, the Yaochao tribe began to cut the giant chicken. Oh my god, such hard feathers. No, it's such beautiful feathers, so colorful. No, you can't deny that it's beautiful, but this is harder. Such beautiful feathers should be used to decorate the statue of the nest god. Only he can deserve such beautiful decorations. No. I think these feathers can be used as weapons to give men better weapons. The women and children quarreled over how to deal with these plucked feathers. The one who advocated decorating the nest god was Zhi, the fourth daughter of the high priest. She grew up in the belief of the nest god, and witnessed her father's use of supreme magic to solve various difficult problems. Therefore, her belief in the nest god is the most steadfast. The one who advocated using men as weapons was Jiang's wife Luo. She was originally the third wife of Xian of the Suhao clan. She was young and beautiful. After being captured, she was naturally taken by Jiang. Of course, this was also because the high priest was left over. He preferred those with bigger hips. Although Luo was beautiful, she was more like a warrior and energetic. The high priest was a little older at the time and thought he could not subdue Luo. Instead, Jiang was full of confidence and wanted Luo to leave. And Luo also relied on the identity of Jiang's wife and her personal warlike and brave character to become the best participant in the Suhao clan, in the Yaochao clan. On the contrary, Xian, the genius who first discovered the method of Suhao, has been executed. Originally, Xian was a laborer at the beginning, and the high priest did not deal with him, but used him as a slave. But Xian was unwilling to be enslaved. He planned a rebellion 2 years ago and was caught by the high priest and beheaded in public. Thus, the remaining dog people of Suhao clan were completely integrated into Yaochao clan. Because for a tribe, as long as the leader dies, the original cohesion will be greatly dissipated. In many cases, the reason why a tribe can survive smoothly is also because of the existence of the leader. With the current laxity of the dog people, if there is no leader, they will soon fall into a situation of disunity, separation, and finally unable to support themselves. During the quarrel, Kang came over and said, "You don't have to fight. I have a use for these feathers. If you want them, you can only wait until I use them up." Facing the second brother's speech, although Zhi had some ideas, he still shut up. Because Zhi was raised by several brothers since he was a child, he respected them very much. Although Kang was not famous, Zhi would not refute him casually. Under the guidance of the high priest, the four brothers and sisters got along very harmoniously. Instead, it was Jiang's wife Luo who was unwilling to do so. She said, "Why do you want to keep such good weapon material to yourself?" Kang said, "Weapons can be made from the bones of the giant chicken. Although the feathers are hard, the process of making weapons is very complicated." "You took it, how do you plan to make the weapons?" Luo said loudly. "Even if the process is complicated, it can definitely be made into sharp cutting tools. With so many sharp tools, it will be much more convenient whether it is cutting meat or making more weapons." Kang said, "How about this? I will give you some of these feathers. Show me your finished product in 10 days. If the product is good, I will give you some more. If the finished product is not good, then I will use it." After all, this giant chicken was found by Chai and Chai has promised me that these feathers will belong to me, and I only need a small part of the meat. Chai said, "Yes, that's what I discussed with my second brother." Although Luo was eager to try and wanted to make something with these feathers, he stopped arguing when he saw that Chai, Kang and Zhi had no objections. "Okay, then I want at least 20. Okay, a giant chicken that is 7 or 8 meters tall can be divided among many dog people if it is cut carefully. However, Kang and Chai both want to use the meat of this giant chicken for experiments, so they kept a portion equivalent to that of a small cow, cut it into vertical strips, and roasted it over a fire until it was air-dried. Their weapons have not yet been sharpened, and it took a lot of time to cut this giant chicken. 20 black feathers were distributed to Luo. In addition, the two brothers also need to confirm to what extent meat food needs to be dried so that it can be preserved for a long time in a humid environment. Also, confirm how long the dried meat can be preserved. This problem is critical. If it is solved, then most of the food storage problems for the winter can be solved. In the warehouse, the two brothers began to arrange the specific roasting area. Chai said, "Second brother, tell me honestly, what are you going to use these feathers for?" King said, "Don't you find that a lot of our experience and knowledge can only be expressed with our mouths, but cannot be recorded in other ways?" Chai shook his head. "What's so strange about this? We dog people are naturally good at tongue debate. Is there anything more advantageous than the tongue to pass on experience?" King said, "I'm stupid. Sometimes when I listen to you talk, I will miss some words. So I often wonder if there is anything that can replace speaking." Chai fell into thought. Replace speaking? Could it be the eyes? Look at other people's eyes and faces. Hey, this is also my strong point. When I see a person's face, I know whether the person is happy or unhappy. Just like just now, although Sister Luo got your 20 feathers, she was obviously still unhappy. King said, "Don't worry about her. Sister Luo has such a personality. She is naturally combative and must fight for something. Only the eldest brother can tolerate her. If it were me, I would definitely teach her a lesson." Chai laughed and said, "Haha, I didn't expect that you, second brother, are so easy to talk to on the surface, but you actually think this way. I thought you respected her very much." Kang's face flushed a little, and he said, "I respect her fighting ability, but I don't respect her character. These are two different things. If she can't fight, she can't provoke me with her character." Chai said, "By the way, second brother, you haven't told me how you plan to use these feathers to replace speech." King said, "First dry them and pull out the thinner cilia." Chai was very curious. While arranging the area for the fire, he watched Kang operate. Kang slowly plucked out the feathers, leaving only those 20 to 30 centimeters long, thin, and hard cilia. Kang piled up these cilia and gradually formed a small hill. Kang took out 3 red cilia and 2 green cilia. The 3 red cilia on the top were radial, and the 2 green cilia on the bottom were placed smoothly. "Look, what does this represent?" After Kang finished arranging them, he looked at Chai excitedly. Chai was somewhat puzzled, frowned and observed for a few times, and suddenly an idea came to his mind, saying, "What does this mean? Fire?" Kang smiled and said, "Chai, you are really smart, but it's not just this meaning. It means fire burning the forest." "Oh," Chai suddenly realized, red cilia represent fire, and green cilia represent forests. Right, he understood Kang's idea. Kang took out a few black and white cilia and arranged them into a stick figure bending forward, with black and white hairs interspersed in the middle of the horizontal bar. Chai immediately understood the image when he saw it, pointed to the ground and laughed. "This is a horse with black and white stripes." The two used cilia of various colors to form the shapes of various things, while guessing each other's meaning. In the process of seeking a more suitable way to store food, surprisingly, the initial text gradually took shape. Li Yi, who was observing this scene from a distance, suddenly felt a shock in his heart, and found that the law of creation had suddenly improved a small part. Interesting. The tribe has realized the magic of writing, which has promoted the perfection of the laws of creation in my universe, and this kind of colored writing is the first time I have seen it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 540 Inheritance. As the Yaochao tribe formed the initial color writing and used it to record key experiences and dates, they gradually discovered the 4 seasons and various solar terms, as well as the calculation methods. Originally, this was the so-called supreme divine art mastered by the high priest, and after the improvement of the calendar, this technology gradually spread. But this did not hinder the authority of the high priest. On the contrary, the tribe had a higher respect for the high priest. The reason was that although the calendar was available, it was not perfect enough. The high priest could use his almost instinctive general feeling to judge when it was the rainy season and when it was winter, and give corresponding tribal adjustment methods. His children also made more contributions and gradually became famous in the tribe. In a blink of an eye, another 10 years passed. The average life expectancy of the dog people was raised to 30 years old again. During this period, the third generation of dog people also gradually grew up. The 4 children, Zheng, Kang, Chai, and Zhi, also multiplied their own families and occupied a small plot of land for development. The total population of the tribe broke through the 1,000 mark. The entire mountain, from the steep mountainside to the smooth and woody foot of the mountain, is full of dog people's tree nests. After pioneering, they found a beautiful huge lake in the eastern area. The surrounding tidal flats could not support huge creatures, but were suitable for the survival of small dog people like them. The East Lake area is basically occupied by the young and strong people brought out by Zheng and their descendants. They found 2 ways to obtain stable food from the East Lake. One is to plant a kind of food called rice on the tidal flats. It can be sown in spring and harvested in autumn. Thousands of acres of land can be rotated back and forth to solve most of their winter food problems. It was Zheng's son Dao who discovered rice. Dao has been learning from Zheng how to find suitable medicine and food in plants since early on. The East Lake area is full of rice and easy to grow. After peeling off the husk, it was found that the grain seeds inside tasted bitter, but they had a faint sweetness after chewing. He also found that among the rice, a type with short stems produced rice with richer sweetness. Therefore, they tried to remove other types of rice from the tidal flats, leaving only this short-stemmed rice. Over the years, they not only solved the problem of food abundance, but also became stronger than the dogmen who ate a single type. They also accumulated a lot of experience in growing short-stemmed rice. Second, they could catch fish in East Lake, which was relatively stable and could solve the problem of meat most of the time. Of course, East Lake is vast and endless, and there are undercurrents under the water. It is also risky to fish with their thin bodies. At first, they only figured out the situation of the waterway near the lake after several young and strong men were killed, injured or drowned. In addition, huge lake monsters appeared from time to time, so although they developed well in East Lake, they could not expand to the limit. 700 people on the other side of the mountain and 300 people on the East Lake are their current main composition. Despite this, they are also the best developed tribe in the surrounding area. However, to break through the population bottleneck and develop a stronger dogman civilization, they still have to solve larger production and preservation methods. The reason why they want more people is that they find that the more people there are, the easier it is to resist all kinds of natural disasters and attacks by wild beasts. This world is not safe, and large creatures more than 10 meters high are everywhere. That is to say, they rely on tree nests and flints, backed by mountains, and another part uses the special environment of tidal flats to avoid being attacked by large creatures. But despite this, there are not a few dog people who die every year while going out hunting. Their current method is to eat more, grow taller, become stronger, and create more lethal weapons, and then set traps to form an impact with population advantages, so as to try to kill large creatures that break into the territory. Outside their tribe, there are also some small tribes of dog people surviving, but survival is difficult, and they are gradually joining their tribe. This is another reason why their population doubled during this period. Because food preservation technology has gradually improved and experience has been passed on in an orderly manner, Yao Chao has become a hegemon in the surrounding area. On this day, the high priest felt that he was old and weak, so he found his confidants and recalled several children and powerful confidants who were developing outside. At this moment, the high priest sat in front of the temple seat, quietly waiting for everyone to gather. In the temple, which was already decorated quite grandly, there was a statue of a tree-shaped human face, which was the nest god invented by the high priest. The face of the nest god was deliberately shaped to be majestic, with a square face, vertical pupils, a wide mouth and a high nose. It looks like both a snake and a giant elephant. This is the image of the nest god that the high priest finally decided after much thought. The reason for combining the faces of 3 creatures is that the snake is mysterious and the giant elephant is mighty, which are very consistent with the dog people's imagination of God. The high priest waited silently, with both a yearning for an infinite future and a remembrance of many past achievements in his heart. In the end, his thoughts settled on a question: should I tell them that the nest god was just made up by me in order to make them obey me and deceive them? Originally, he was going to keep the secret for the rest of his life. But when death was approaching, coupled with the many weak feelings caused by the decay of the flesh, he became more and more suspicious of whether God really existed. If the gods really existed, would they punish him after his death? When people are young, they are often fearless because of their strong bodies. The weaker the body, the more likely they are to have wild thoughts. At this time, he seemed to realize something and looked back at the statue of the nest god. Suddenly, he felt that the eyes of the nest god seemed to come alive, which scared him. His old heart was also beating continuously, which made him palpitate. I must have seen it wrong. How could the god I made up look like a living being? Maybe this is the nest god reminding me to continue to make up this lie. In this chaotic state of mind, the eldest son Zhang, wearing rattan armor, walked into the temple with a rapid sound of rattan leather rubbing. He was in high spirits and was stunned for a long time when he saw the high priest with obviously weak face and white hair. Behind Zhang was the young and strong grandson Dao, who bowed respectfully. Meet the high priest. After that, the second son Kang and Chai also brought their young sons to the temple. Without exception, they all noticed the incredible old age of the high priest. They were not young and inexperienced, but they all knew what such an appearance meant, and they were all sad for a moment. Father, the high priest smiled, today I dreamed that the nest god spoke to me in my dream. He told me that my mission of preaching in the world has been completed. Next, I just need to wait for my body to age, and my soul will be able to ascend to heaven and enjoy the blessings. Don't be sad for me. Next, I will teach you the supreme magic that the nest god taught me. All of you, listen carefully. Chapter 541 Soaring. When they heard that they were going to be taught the supreme magic, the sons all looked serious. Over the years, they had learned a lot under the guidance of the high priest, but they had never seen the so-called supreme magic. Now, is the true face of the supreme magic finally going to be revealed to them? The high priest paused and said slowly, the magic is a means of borrowing the power of God. Let me ask you, what is the nest god we believe in? Zhang, your answer. Zhang heard this and said, the nest god is the great god of nesting and fire. He enlightened us dog people and gave us the art of nesting and fire, so that we can be protected from wind and rain and eat hot food. He is everywhere, watching us at all times and guiding us to the right path. The high priest nodded slightly. Let me ask you again, under the guidance of the nest god, what should we do to repay him and thank him for his selfless gift? Kang, your answer. Kang thought for a moment and said, let all the intelligent creatures who can speak know him, recite him, and thank him. The high priest smiled. Yes, the world is big, but there are few intelligent creatures. We are the first batch of intelligent creatures enlightened by the nest god. There will definitely be other intelligent creatures later, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that we are the first. Now I will tell you the truth about the supreme magic, that is wisdom. Wisdom is the highest magic given to us by the nest god. In this world, have you seen other creatures like us who can speak, make tools, use fire, and hunt creatures that are more than 10 times larger than themselves? As soon as these words came out, the faces of several people were a little strange. This is magic? They were disappointed, but not too surprised. It seemed that they had already noticed it. After a long period of practice, the three sons had already vaguely known that their father did not actually have great power. He was just better at observing and using other dogmen than other dogmen. The nest god is everywhere and has infinite power. Even this magnificent world was created by him. Think about it, as his first batch of wise people, why didn't he give us the great power of wind, lightning, and earthquake? Because he wants us to learn everything with wisdom. He threw us into this world to test us, and wisdom is the supreme magic he gave us. What I learned from this magic is the nest building technology, the observation of celestial phenomena, and the insight into people's hearts. And you have already learned these 2 points. You have also learned how to plant, preserve food, and record in writing. These are all given to you by the supreme magic. This is the supreme magic that you have inherited a part of, but you have not yet fully realized the horror of the magic of wisdom. You need more learning and practice to inherit, carry forward, and glorify this magic. The high priest's voice was unquestionable and decisive. The supreme magic he described seemed to be the core leading to all the future. The sons were all a little shocked. It turned out that they had inherited some of the supreme divine arts. No wonder many of the tribe's technologies were developed by them. Other people in the tribe, on the contrary, rarely developed meaningful things. They didn't know that due to the high priest's words and deeds, they naturally had enough exploration and enterprising spirit. And there was a small gap in wisdom between them and those ignorant dog people. The eldest grandson Dale also seemed to have realized something. The other two were still young and didn't have any clear experience. They just felt that although their grandfather looked so decadent, His speech seemed to be getting stronger and more powerful, as if there was some power supporting him. The high priest was still a little hesitant about whether to say so. But after seeing the nest god statue behind him seem to come alive in a trance, he was determined in his thoughts. That's right, God exists. God loves all living beings, and loves them who have wisdom even more. Therefore, he wants to pass on his true understanding over the years. Tell them that wisdom is the core that truly distinguishes them from other creatures, and it is the unique weapon of the Yaochao dog people. He continued to speak, carefully imparting his experience on how to use wisdom in the past. These things were already instilled in his sons when he was teaching them in the early days. However, they were younger at the time, and although they learned some of the essence and each had their own areas of exploration, they still did not have as clear an understanding as the high priest. Now that time has passed, the high priest's detailed account has triggered several sons unconsciously. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed, and the high priest's final teachings to the younger generation gradually ended. His strength was a little exhausted. The great power brought by the moment of last light was slowly not enough. Chai noticed this and wanted to stop the teaching and let the high priest take a rest, but he refused and stopped Chai with a stern look. If one day you encounter difficulties that cannot be solved, it must be due to lack of wisdom. Remember, God loves all living things, but he loves wisdom more. I hope you will always keep this last sentence in mind, never forget it, and pass it on to your next generation, the next generation, and never stop. With the last sentence, the heavy and dry brown eyelids slowly closed, and the pair of turbid eyes that watched the dog tribe expand from small to large closed forever. The sons knelt down, their eyes first moistened, and then they cried bitterly. Outside the temple, the dog people dropped the bone tools and stone axes in their hands and sobbed sadly. The first generation leader of the Yaochao tribe passed away. 3 days later, the funeral ended, and the new generation of tribal high priests was elected, and it was the eldest son Jiang. The second son Kang Zekin currently served as the leader of the Dashan division, and Jiang Ze continued to serve as the leader of the Donghu division. The third son was responsible for continuing to open up the wasteland. Due to the past contributions and statements of the sons, there was no turmoil in their power transfer. After this, several special text symbols appeared in various parts of the Yaochao tribe. It was the text symbol of the sentence God loves all living things, and loves wisdom even more. As this text symbol spread widely, Li Yu also felt that the two major laws of life and creation in the universe were improved again to a small extent. Obviously, as the indigenous people in the small universe had their initial understanding, they, as the products of the birth of the first batch of laws, also directly influenced the changes in the laws. Li Yi, the Lord of the universe, also received direct feedback, and his understanding of the two major characteristics soared again. This time, the soaring rate was even more fierce than the memory fragments that were previously obtained through the root knowledge transmitted by his future self. Just like that, the understanding of the root law was actually raised from the previous ordinary master level to the level of Jiuyu. Li Yu realized in his heart that when the first batch of intelligent creatures gradually died or the inheritance was cut off, there might not be such a big feedback performance. On the one hand, now is the initial era, and all changes are directly related to the laws. On the other hand, the base of the laws will be larger in the future, and a little change may not produce such changes. But there is no doubt that managing the universe can indeed make his progress faster than in the past. Chapter 542 Second Generation. After the death of the first high priest, Zheng not only spread the phrase God loves all living things, but also loves wisdom throughout the tribe, but also made more different measures. First, the technology of planting rice was promoted in the mountainous area. The Donghu area is full of mudflats, which makes it easier for rice to survive, but on the mountainside, due to the expansion of the tribe's population, logging and road construction, there are also many wastelands, so you can try to plant rice. Originally, there were 300 people planting, but now there are 700 more people planting in addition to hunting and gathering. Naturally, they have a lot more food to support more people. In addition, there is another key point that limits their current population growth. That is weapons. They lack enough weapons to expand outward. Because of their large population, the mountainside has the advantage of being the first to come, and the mountains and forests are lush, large creatures are difficult to move, and it is a paradise unique to them. The mudflats cannot bear large creatures, and the rich products are also the suitable home they have found at present. But this is already the limit for carrying more than 1,000 of them. After long-term observation, King put forward a point of view, that is, according to the current reproduction trend, more trees in the mountains will definitely be cut down. Then when the cover behind is gradually removed by them, the tribe's natural enemies, those large carnivorous creatures, will attack. They are not afraid of ordinary carnivorous creatures. But once they are big ones over 10 meters in size, they will be in trouble. With their current bone and stone tools, they probably can't even break their skin. Moreover, according to the young and strong people I sent to explore, some large creatures have mastered the ability to swallow fire and spit out lightning. In front of the temple, Kang solemnly told his brothers about his discovery. Chai said, "Second brother, this ability to swallow and exhale flames, is it the kind of flame that can cause a forest fire?" King said, "That's not so bad. I named the creature that can swallow and exhale flames the fire-swallowing stork. It has a wingspan of 18 meters and stands 8 meters tall. Its wings are red and its feathers are long and hard. With just a flap of its wings, it can blow up a whirlwind that can knock down trees. It can swallow the burning charcoal fire and accumulate it. When it encounters a strong enemy, it will spit out a powerful flame in one breath, which can singe the enemy's fur. Even those smaller ones cannot withstand its flames and will be burned to death in an instant. Just like our barbecue, it lives alone in Nanjukyu, more than 10 miles south of our mountain. There are oranges growing all over the mountains. In addition to meat, the fire-swallowing stork mainly eats oranges. They have a long history and experience of gathering, so they naturally know what kind of fruit tangerine is. This kind of fruit is very sweet, the sweetest food they have ever seen. Kang's eldest son Ju is the promoter of the planting technology of tangerine trees. Ju seems to be unusually strong because he often eats tangerines. He is 1.2 meters tall, more than half a head taller than other dog people. People in the tribe say that people who often eat tangerines can become stronger and braver. Not only them, but other large creatures also often eat and love to eat them. There are even many cases of robbery for this. And a fire-swallowing stork can occupy such a mountain, which shows how powerful it is. Jiang and Chai's expressions both became more solemn. There is another kind, a mink-like creature, 6 or 7 meters tall, which doesn't look very big, but its fur is like needles, and I don't know how it does it. Once it finds a creature approaching it, it will emit a terrifying crackling sound and flashing electric light to stun the creature approaching it. I named this creature the Electric Marten. It lives in the Moon Arch Hill in the north of the mountain. There are quite a lot of them. They are social creatures like us. Their staple food is a kind of mushroom that is taller than a tree. A lot of it grows naturally in the Moon Arch Hill, King said. In view of my son Ju's experience, I think we can also try to eat more of the food that these large creatures with special abilities often eat. Maybe over time, we will become stronger, or we can master some special abilities. Father said that our supreme divine arts are the wisdom bestowed by Lord Nest God. These are things that other creatures do not have, so we can learn from other creatures. What do you think? This statement was recognized by Jiang and Chai. Next, since they could not expand their weapons, they planned to continue to start from the perspective of food, and first make the next generation of the tribe stronger and more intelligent. They mastered the text that could pass on experience and technology, which meant that time was on their side. After discussing the problem of the weakening of the protective effect of the mountains due to the increase in population, they decided to open up some more areas on the East Lake side to temporarily carry a group of new generation of dog people. The East Lake is vast. Although there are large creatures in the lake, it is difficult to go ashore due to the shallow water near the lake. Therefore, although there are risks in expanding around the East Lake, it is better than losing the area where they made their fortune. So, the whole tribe began to undergo new changes under the joint efforts of this new generation of leaders. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Of course, their 10 years may be a long time, but for Li Yi, it is just a nap. Li Yi was not observing the evolution of these intelligent creatures all the time, he was also practicing himself. For example, absorbing more memory fragments, studying the genetic data collected before, and creating a more complete body forging method. With his strong soul, it was really easy to complete this multitasking operation. In the past 10 years, the Yaochao tribe has accumulated strength and promoted wisdom. The second-generation leaders repeatedly mention the word wisdom and emphasize the wisdom summarized by the first-generation high priests during the annual Nest God festival, encouraging everyone in the tribe to study their personal skills and think more after completing daily production and human-making activities. At the same time, in the past 10 years, Although the expansion of the East Lake area encountered many problems and even suffered from floods, it continued to expand under various intelligent means, hunting all large creatures in the lake area and completing the expansion of the race. The population has also increased to 1,400. If it weren't for the flood 6 years ago, the population would have doubled long ago. Among them, the most core reason for the growth is the improvement of the cultivation technology of mushrooms and orange fruits produced in Yuhu Hill and Nanju Hill. By eating orange fruits and mushrooms, combined with the usual rice, aquatic products, hunted game and other food supplements, their new generation generally has a height of more than 1 meter. The outstanding ones among them, such as Tachibana's son Fuji, who is 1.4 meters tall and is known as the strongest man in the tribe, and Dao's son Lang, who is the first person in the tribe who can swallow charcoal alive and spit out fierce flames. Chapter 543 Differentiation. The emergence of Liang and Teng means that the first intelligent race in Liyu's hands has opened the era of transcendence. Although it is still the crudest and simplest way to transcendence, it undoubtedly indicates that the dog people have more confidence to expand the tribe. With the promotion of mushrooms and orange fruits, more abundant food, and hunting more giant creatures. With a continuous polishing of new weapons and the leadership of the Transcendence, they finally expanded a larger area in the 50th year of the appearance of the Yaochao tribe, and a breakthrough population growth appeared. They used the newly invented bows and spears to hunt the fire-swallowing storks in Nanjukyu, seized Nanjukyu, and occupied the orange orchard of an entire mountain. They found that the oranges planted in Nanjukyu had a significantly better effect on physical enhancement. Although the principle is unknown, this has indeed made a major breakthrough in the population, life expectancy, and height of the Yaochao tribe. The population has reached 3,600, and 5 sub-tribes have been formed around the mountains. One around the mountain, one on the east and west sides of Nanjukyu, and one near the lake area and deep lake area of Donghu. The tribes are gradually differentiated. Among them, Zheng is in charge of the Dashan tribe, with a total population of 900. His main business is to cultivate mushrooms, collect mountain materials, and export firewood and dried meat of large creatures to other tribes. Kang is in charge of the Dongjukyu tribe, with a total population of 800. He uses the means of oranges to cultivate more orange fruits and raise a group of warriors with the highest average height, exporting strong men to other tribes. Chai is in charge of the tribe near the lake area, with a total population of 700. He is responsible for cultivating aquatic products, planting rice, and exporting food. He was not good at these at first, but after a discussion among several brothers, he finally took charge of the near lake area with the strongest productivity at present, laying the foundation for other tribes. Jiang's eldest son Dao is in charge of the Shenhu tribe, with a total population of 500. Liang is his first fierce general, responsible for fighting with large creatures in the Shenhu area and snatching more living areas. The 5 tribes formed an effective division of labor and spent a long honeymoon period, successfully allowing the Yaochao tribe to break through the first major population bottleneck. The comprehensive average life expectancy reached 45 years old. With the increase of their average life expectancy, the accumulation of population will inevitably become faster and faster. The average height of each generation has been higher over time, and has now reached an average height of 1.3 meters. Liang, an outstanding person of the new generation, continued to grow taller. Even after he bred offspring and had 3 sons, he could still grow taller and reached a terrifying height of 1.6 meters. Liang, who is this tall, was agile and strong as a bull. He could swallow charcoal and spit fire. He could fight tigers with a thick bone blade made from the tibia of a fire-eating stork. Later, Ten was not as tall as Liang, and stopped at 1.4 meters. He invented the rattan whip, and with his own strength, he could fight a leopard alone. The Yaochao tribe gradually formed a warlike atmosphere and respected brave warriors. Although the other descendants of Zheng, Kang, and Chai also made good contributions and made inventions, they were not as influential as Liang and Tang in the tribe. After the worship of the strong, the dog people's emphasis on wisdom gradually weakened in the long-term expansion and struggle. In a blink of an eye, the honeymoon cooperation period of the 5 tribes has passed for another 10 years, and the total population has continued to grow, reaching an unprecedented number of 6,200. Kang's Dongjukyu tribe benefited the most. Not only did it raise the strongest group of brave warriors in the Yaochao tribe, but the total population also surpassed Jiang's Dashan tribe in one fell swoop. reaching 1,500, which is very amazing. Just relying on the number of young and strong people, large creatures dare not invade the dog tribe at will. When they hear the sound of the dog people gathering, they will flee. Only those large creatures with a single height of 20 to 30 meters dare to run rampant. Fortunately, this kind of large creature seems to dislike the lack of rich products here and did not survive in this generation. Kang once sent young and strong people to explore further south and east of Jukyu, and found that there were more large creatures living there, and they were taller and more powerful. Therefore, although their strength has increased a lot, they still did not continue to expand. Instead, they chose to continue to accumulate strength around Jukyu, research, discover, and pass on more skills and means that can strengthen the race. Unfortunately, as Kang is about to reach 40 years old, he still hasn't found a better breakthrough method. Instead, they have gradually realized the limit of the orange fruit, or the short-term limit of the dogman gene. It is difficult for their descendants to rise sharply again. Even the new generation is not as tall as the previous generation. Not only that, the average intelligence of the new generation has declined sharply. Many of the new generation even need a long time to learn the characters that represent their own names, which is much slower than the previous generations. Kang even doubts whether he has done something wrong before. Such a decline phenomenon made Kang rack his brains, but he couldn't figure it out. Several experiments and attempts have not succeeded. Even due to long-term worries and the decay of age, he can no longer maintain his previous stable mentality. Now Kang is more like an old man in the sunset than a tribal leader in power. His pioneering spirit and enterprising spirit have declined to the limit and are no longer able to maintain. The rust of the flesh, the hidden injuries accumulated in his early years, and the old illness of the body have tortured him and made him look haggard. Kang has been feeling more and more miserable about himself these days. Father, did I do something wrong? Wisdom is obviously more important, but I unknowingly chose a shortcut and let my descendants develop in a stronger way. Is it because they are more and more keen on training their bodies and neglect to observe, learn, and use wisdom, so not only have they lost height, but their wisdom is also far inferior to that of the previous generation. Under such self-torture, he was tortured physically and mentally, and his life was about to run out. Although his lifespan was much higher than that of other dog people of his generation, as a leader of the tribe, his living conditions were much higher than those of ordinary dog people, so this was actually considered a short life. Apart from anything else, their father, the high priest, lived to be in his 50s, which was much higher than the average lifespan of the tribe. His eldest brother Zhang, who was almost 50 this year, was still energetic, brave and strong. One day, Kang, who felt that he was about to die, summoned his most valued eldest son Ju. Father, Ju, who was nearly 1.4 meters tall, could already look down at Kang, who was barely 1 meter tall, but he still knelt down respectfully. He had long known about his father's situation and knew that he was worried about the recent decline of the new generation in the tribe. Therefore, although he saw Kang, who looked haggard, he was not surprised, but felt distressed. Kang said, Ju, do you think we have unknowingly deviated from the will of the nest god? Chapter 544 Decision. This question made Ju stunned. Is it against God's will to take the strong route? After thinking about it, Ju said, Father, I don't think we have violated the will of the nest god. Maybe we just accidentally took a long detour. Sometimes, we take a long detour not to deviate from the goal. It is to avoid those insurmountable obstacles before the end, and use time to overcome difficulties. Although our next generation is declining, maybe this is natural. Just like a tiger has several cubs in a litter, but not all of them are extremely strong, there are always weak ones. This may just be a normal fluctuation. It may also be that the things contained in the South Jokyu are consumed by us in advance, and we need time to recover. As the first person to grow jujubes, Ju has accumulated much more farming experience than Kang. Therefore, he believes that the current phenomenon of the decline of the next generation's wisdom and body is normal, and the next generation is likely to recover again. Kang's strengths are that he is steady in doing things, occasionally clever, and has a good overall view. But the disadvantage is that because he has been guarding the grain warehouse all year round, he has not had much time to interact with other dog people. After becoming the leader of East Jukyu, he is more observing, thinking, and then giving instructions. He is still lacking in some aspects of polishing. In addition, he concentrates on studying words, and his physical exercise is a little lacking compared to the other brothers. The experience of studying words for many years has made him more focused and more paranoid. Therefore, he often falls into a dead end of a certain problem and cannot extricate himself. Although Zhu's speech has not completely awakened Kang, but it did make Kang think more and get out of the previous entanglement. His eyes lit up slightly, and he lowered his head to look at Zhu. Zhu, what you said makes sense, but if we leave it alone, our tribe will become weaker and weaker with each generation. This situation is also very likely, isn't it? Zhu pondered for a moment, and said, Father, your worries are not unreasonable, but our current conditions are here, and we have reached the limit of what we can do. Apart from waiting for new results, is there any other way? Kang said, well, you go and visit the other 4 tribes and observe the overall situation of their new generation. In addition, our latest batch of new generations does not need to be arranged to assist other tribes in a hurry. You can try to expand to the east alone first, although it's good for us to help each other all the time, it has also bred many lazy people. Many people have begun to indulge in pleasure with abundant resources. Enjoyment is not bad. It can relax our mood after hard work, but the problem is that large creatures are harassing us from time to time. We are worried about extinction at any time, and it is still impossible to relax, so, this time, I want you to act bolder. Zhu vaguely understood what Kang meant at this time. It seems that Kang also roughly understands that decline is inevitable. Instead of waiting for a more serious decline in the next generation, it is better to take the initiative to change the existing situation. The strategy of change is to temporarily cut off from other tribes and open up new land again. Father, do you think that our next generation has not experienced enough hardships? So there is a decline? Zhu asked. Kang smiled. This is also what you inspired me. You said that among the several children born in a tiger's den, there will always be weak ones, and the weak are always the most miserable. But on the other hand, can the strongest one in the tiger's den sit back and relax? No, among the 5 tribes, our Dongjukyu is the strongest, but our tribe has the greatest hedonistic atmosphere, because we are the richest and the strongest, and it is easy to get full. If we go to other tribes to help, we can also enjoy the treatment of superior dog people, which is very comfortable. But is that enough? We are the first group of people to become strong. If we think about leading other dog people, but exploit other tribes, we will only become parasites on the tree. The fatter we are, the easier it is to be taken away by birds. Zhu was silent for a while. The strong first exploit the weak later. This is a bad phenomenon. It has only appeared in recent years. It is indeed very likely related to the decline of the new generation. As Kang talked, his thoughts became clearer and clearer. Zhu, you are right. We accidentally took a long detour, but unfortunately we did not successfully overcome the difficulties this time. Instead, we are getting further and further away from our goal, so, you must firmly believe that your pioneering action this time will definitely help our tribe break through the difficulties. If possible, I don't want our next generation to suffer, but we are just a small race. We have nothing but wisdom. If you are satisfied with temporary wealth and temporary strength, you will not last long. Zhu, go and find more magical materials like Zhuguo. The fate of the dogman race is in your hands. Zhu nodded slowly, with a heavy heart. Father, you make it sound simple. It is not that simple to pioneer now. All that can be pioneered has been pioneered. The remaining places are all occupied by huge creatures 20 to 30 meters high. This is no longer an existence that can be easily dealt with by a pile of people. Moreover, this time, all the new generations had to be let out. If they were wiped out in one go, the production level of the 5 major dog tribes would directly regress by 30 years. 3 days later, except for the old, weak, sick and young, most of the young and strong, both men and women, left Dongjukyu. The Dongjukyu tribe, which had a population of more than 1,500, suddenly had only 200 or 300 people left and became empty. When other tribes came to ask for strong men to assist in production half a month later, they discovered this change. After waiting for another half a month, when the leaders of other tribes, Zhang, Chai, Dao and others came to ask Kang why he made such a decision, they found that Kang had died in front of the temple, and was stiff and kneeling in long worshipping posture. The second generation of leaders of the Yaochao tribe also began to die. With the death of Kang, Zhang and Chai also died of illness within 5 years. The third generation of Dao, Teng, Liang and others took over other tribes. The Dongjukyu tribe, which was unable to wait for the return of the pioneering Zhu, ushered in a large wave of death and gradually became deserted. Although the West Jukyu tribe wanted to take over the East Jukyu tribe, they also ushered in a decline. The new generation generally lacked comprehensive wisdom and strength, so they could only maintain the status quo and find it difficult to expand. At most, they would arrange personnel to pick the oranges when they were ripe. Of course, due to the lack of manpower management, the production volume naturally dropped sharply. 10 years after Kang's death, the population of the tribe shrank again, falling back to 2000. The expansion of the Deep Lake area also had to retreat due to the gradual decline of the new generation, so as not to be killed by large aquatic creatures. Yao Chao's extraordinary dawn seemed to have just lit up and was about to go out immediately. In the same year, Zhu, who had pioneered in the east, finally led a group of people back to East Jukyu. Chapter 545 New Creation. In the early morning, the jungle was thick with monkeys howling and birds chirping, and the fog was hazy. A group of people pushed aside the leaves and emerged from the eastern jungle, gradually walking out of more than 100 people. The leader was Zhu, who had not returned for many years. After leaving Dongjukyu for so long, he did not look old, but younger. The hair on his face completely faded, revealing a face without hair, temples, and eyebrows, with only 6 long whiskers sticking out on both sides of the nose. His appearance was quite different. In addition to him, the young and strong dog people following behind him, after 10 years of pioneering, surprisingly had few vicissitudes on their faces, and they were all full of energy. Leader, since we have successfully pioneered the outside world and have branched out, why do we have to go back to help those people who did not die and join the group? Next to Zhu was his confidant, Tang, a friend of the same age as Zhu. Tang was strong, heroic, observant, and loyal. When he was pioneering, he was not that outstanding, but he had experienced a lot of things and witnessed many friends gradually die due to injuries, colds and other accidents during the pioneering process. He was also growing up gradually until he could stand on his own and become a reliable helper beside Zhu. In the long-term practice, he also promoted the tribal ritual of washing with hot soup, successfully washed away the various dirt accumulated on the surface of the skin, and solved the problem of colds that troubled them for a long time. Although colds and various gastrointestinal diseases are still infected and still have a high mortality rate, at least people who often wash their bodies with hot soup will at least reduce the probability of occurrence. On this point, the people in their tribe gradually reached a consensus, which is also Tang's contribution and deserves to be remembered by the tribe. But because he saw so many companions die, Tang felt that it was not worth it to come back from a long distance to help the tribe. Obviously, they paid such a great sacrifice to gain a foothold in the East Wilderness, find better and alternative food, achieve stable production, and help them become stronger, younger, and smarter. But now they actually want to take the seeds of this thing back on their own initiative, which he doesn't understand. As for Zhu's statement that more people are needed to stabilize the situation, Tang was even more dismissive. He felt that instead of looking for those who have declined to help, it is better to cultivate internally. Even if it takes more time, there will definitely be a breakthrough in the future. Zhu shook his head and said, "We are originally from there. Many people's fathers, mothers, and grandparents may not have passed away. It would have been fine if we didn't have the spare capacity, but now that we have established a firm foothold, we naturally have to let these older generations have a comfortable life. Otherwise, think about it, when you are old one day, your descendants don't want to support you, what should you do? Can you live on your own? The most important thing for a race to survive for a long time is to have good customs, respect your parents, love your children, and have a small family first, then a big family, so that the tribe can develop steadily." These words barely convinced Tang. Well, this is indeed important. Although there are many more burdens, with our current strength, more burdens are nothing. Tang said this, but in his heart he still felt that he could take care of his own elderly, but for the people of other tribes, it depends on the situation. If they were still lazy and good for nothing, he would have reason to reject them. As for the younger generation among them, if they had not been taught badly by their elders, they could be taken away and raised to become the new force for their continued development in the East Wilderness. Their average physique has now improved a lot, and they have inherited all kinds of technologies mastered by the 5 major tribes before, which can be said to be the peak state. Both manpower and wisdom have reached unprecedented strength. The main limitation for their further development is the population problem, and the speed of birth cannot keep up with the speed of expansion. They can now hunt large creatures over 20 meters high. Frequently eating the flesh and blood of these creatures, their physique is indeed improving. Not only that, they have found more types of food near the nests of these large creatures, which has greatly enriched their food system. Among the current group of 100 young and strong people, half of them have mastered the abilities of swallowing charcoal and spitting fire, generating electricity with fur, and super five senses, and have gradually successfully promoted the extraordinary ways discovered by the 5 major tribes. The resources in the East Wilderness are so rich that even if they just keep looking for food, they can raise a group of people with increasingly powerful abilities. This is also the reason why Tang looked down on the original 5 tribes. He didn't believe that under the original conditions, the 5 tribes would become hedonistic again, and they might catch up with him. As the two talked, they gradually came to the long-abandoned East Orange Hill. The ground was covered with weeds, and the tree nests covered with leaves gradually lost their original appearance. It seems that even if the older generation is still alive, they have moved out. Tang was secretly happy. It would be best if there were no burdens. In this way, the following things would be simple. He would communicate with other tribes and bring a group of young and strong people to their East Wilderness tribe. As for some idle people, he would not accompany them. Although Tang was loyal, he only talked about his good friends. For those who were not familiar with him, he felt that he could come to watch over them, and these people would be grateful enough. After all, their journey across hundreds of kilometers this time was not easy, and it also required great risks. If the people of the 5 tribes, now it should be the 4 tribes, did not know what was good for them, Tang would rather not take them back. Compared to Zhu's leadership style and broad-mindedness, Tang thought he was narrow-minded, and he was very aware of this. After a discussion, several people decided to rest in the East Jukyu tribe for a few days, hunt to replenish their consumption, and then go to other tribes to communicate. They began to repair the long-abandoned tree nests. At this time, the team responsible for exploring the surrounding area came back and reported, "We found several special things, a bit like tree nests built on the ground, and the traces of activities inside are still very new." Zhu and Tang discussed it and found it interesting, so they took a few people there. This is a wooden house that is completely different from the original tree nest. There are 2 floors, one floor is 1.5 meters high, and the bottom is full of thick tree stumps inserted into the ground. The top is flattened to build a large square house, one on top of 4 or 5 large tree nests, which looks much better than the tree nests that need to be cleaned of mosquitoes and dead leaves all year round. Could it be that they have invented new buildings in the past 10 years? Zhu's eyes lit up. This kind of house structure is very interesting. Although it was obvious at first glance that it required a lot of construction skills, the advantages were really obvious. It was much better than a tree nest that was cramped, narrow, dirty, and required constant maintenance. Let's go in and take a look. Chapter 546, Breaking 10,000. The 2 of them were very agile and jumped up to the side corridor of the house. When they pushed open the door, they saw a spacious space that was surprisingly clean. Although there was some dust in the corners, it was obvious that someone had been there some time ago. There was some hay piled in the corner of the house, and some long poles and leather covers that were obviously used to harvest oranges. It seems that these are probably people from the West Jukyu tribe, who come here regularly to harvest oranges. Zhu looked around and nodded slightly. In other words, most of the old people from our original East Jukyu tribe have moved to West Jukyu. Tang's palms kept slapping the wall, making a thumping sound. After a while, he said in disbelief, "The construction technology of these houses is very strong, so much stronger than our current tree nests. How did they build them? Whose hand is this?" Zhu smiled. Probably the old people from the 5 major tribes. After all, they followed a high priest to build the foundation of our Yaochao clan from scratch. The skills accumulated over so many years are exquisite enough. I believe they can complete such accumulation. The emergence of this construction technology alone proves that our return this time is not in vain, right, Tang Moran? Indeed, this is undoubtedly a more sophisticated and more suitable construction method for tribal gatherings. Once their East Wilderness tribe also popularizes this technology, the probability of their newborns dying due to various reasons will be greatly reduced. Not only that, the improvement of living conditions can also alleviate the other energy consumption of young and strong people in cleaning tree nests. After all, the reason why tree nests are widely used by them is that, first, they are high enough to reduce the flood damage caused by heavy rain, second, They can avoid being harassed by most wild animals when sleeping. Third, they can be covered with leaves to avoid direct sunlight in the summer, which has many advantages. But there are also many disadvantages. For example, tree nests can only be built outside the forest, because there are not so many tall trees outside the forest. Secondly, there are cleaning problems and mosquito bites. The flowers and fruits of some trees can attract many mosquitoes. Living in them, you need to apply insect repellent on your skin, which is also a hassle. Finally, it is cramped and cannot accommodate more than 3 people. If a new generation is born, it is also troublesome to raise them and they are prone to premature death. The wooden house in front of you is square, easy to clean, and wide enough. It can also be equipped with insect repellent spices to make the whole environment comfortable. Although Tang is against enjoyment, he also knows that a good resting space is very important. A good sleep can allow young and strong people to have better energy to work and make people the next day. We must get the construction technology of this kind of house, Tang said to Ju. Ju smiled and said, in fact, I have looked around and have a vague idea of how to build it, but I still need to confirm some details. I will basically learn it by going back to communicate with the old people in Zhujukyu, but these are not important. What is important is to find those skilled old people. With these people, we can train our construction craftsmen and let them produce more useful inventions. Tang. You must remember that wisdom is the absolute weapon that our dog people surpass other creatures. Secondly, it is a good body, because wisdom is infinite, but a strong body can only be accumulated slowly. There are many creatures in this world that are born to crush us at will. Tang was taught a lesson by Ju, and he had to admit in his heart that he did not respect wisdom enough. His mentality was also lowered. 2 days later, they completed the repairs and set off for Zhujukyu. At the same time, Li Yu temporarily retracted his long-term gaze on the world and let out a long breath. His perspective is not limited to Ju and the 5 major tribes. He also paid attention to the evolution of other creatures on the earth. Moreover, because each creature evolves in a different way, he has an unusually large number of separate minds. The objects he observes at the same time have at least hundreds of millions of differentiated and detailed perspectives in 1 second. Only with his current soul strength, combined with the immortality of his soul, can he achieve such terrifying multi-threaded observation. This is similar to but different from his picometer level microscopic vision. His 0.8 picometer is also a microscopic vision of the order of hundreds of millions of picometers per second. In an instant, he can observe the microscopic activities of hundreds of millions of picometer level atomic nuclei at the same time. It is not a rough overview, but a detailed observation. After all, this is an observation of atomic nuclei, not atoms and molecules of a smaller order of magnitude. Coupled with the extensibility of a vision and the synergy of microscopic dynamics, the amount of information obtained in his mind in an instant is very terrifying. It is precisely because of the instant processing of massive amounts of information that he has trained in the microscopic vision that he can instantly track the evolution of so many creatures, and can use this to comprehend the root laws of life and creation, and make rapid progress every day. You know, if he can only observe tens of thousands or thousands of biological evolutions at the same time, then the materials and data that can be obtained will naturally plummet exponentially. Assuming that there are other creator gods, then Li Yu must be the one who has made the most progress among the creator gods. For example, the small universe that dominated them in the first era can also be regarded as the creator god of that small universe. But their souls have not obtained the immortal characteristics, and they have not used Li Yu's long-term and persistent microscopic vision to train their ability to be subtle, to train their differentiated vision and efficient information processing, so they certainly cannot achieve the efficiency of Li Yu's progress. Of course, since they are the first movers and have the first advantage, now that so much time has passed, Li Yu is not sure where they are now. But at least in the initial stage, Li Yu is confident that his progress speed is far faster than theirs. The time of the small universe progresses very quickly, and biological evolution is renewed every day. Just now, in addition to the dog tribe, a new race has once again given birth to wisdom. This race is also related to Ju's Donghuang tribe. This is also the reason why Li Yu was attracted and temporarily withdrew his gaze. Because he felt that the laws of creation in the small universe had changed. Which was obviously a change caused by the birth of new wisdom. The laws of the universe have changed, so it is best to observe them wholeheartedly to avoid missing something. As for the changes in the major creatures on the earth, he can trace back time, check some key nodes, and connect them. In a blink of an eye, half an hour passed, and the changes in the laws of creation were completed. Li Yu had gained a lot and was satisfied, then turned his attention back to the earth. Hey, half an hour has passed, and there are actually more than a dozen dog tribes in a row? The total population has exceeded 10,000. Where are Zhu and Tang? According to the time ratio adjusted by Li Yu now, only 20 years should have passed in the universe. According to Zhu and Tang's gradually extraordinary lifespans, they should still be alive. Chapter 547 Fusion. Li Yu quickly found traces of Tang and Zhu. The location had expanded to the East China Sea, sitting quietly in the largest tribal temple by the sea. In the temple, there were more than 20 dogmen youths whose faces looked more and more like humans, standing upright on one side, listening to Zhu's words. While observing, Li Yu recalled the situation and immediately knew what had changed in the past 10 years. So that's how it is. They really took the path of merging first and then splitting. Li Yu had expected this a long time ago. At that time, Zhu and Tang and others went to Zhukyu and found the few remaining elders in the tribe. They exchanged technology with the rest of the people in Zhukyu and spread more kinds of seeds they obtained. After the exchanges between the four major tribes, they were impressed by the military force of the East Wasteland tribe and decided to send young and strong people to learn. Tang originally wanted to cause some conflicts, but under Zhu's good reputation, although there were minor frictions between the four major tribes and the East Wasteland tribe, they were all suppressed. There was no accident in the first exchange. Zhu yearly suppressed all the problems. After getting the first batch of new forces, the Donghuang tribe retained most of the young and strong with a better food system and production system, and updated the house construction system of the Donghuang tribe. Only a few young and strong, who were determined to serve their original tribe, decided to take more seeds back after learning the extraordinary food planting technology of the Donghuang tribe. These technologies are the field ridge rotation method and various special seed cultivation methods gradually developed by the Donghuang tribe on the basis of slash and burn farming. When Zhu didn't know, Tang secretly sent people to hunt down these young and strong in order to prevent a leakage of core technology, and two of them escaped. One of them was named Gun. He was strong and talented. After long-term consumption of extraordinary food and exercise, he awakened the ability to control water. The other was named Guang. He was good at making all kinds of ingenious tools. Although he was a little thin, he was blessed by Gun because of his good relationship with Gun and survived smoothly. After all, the two were already the fifth generation of young and strong tribesmen. They were born in the four major tribes and did not have deep feelings for the separated Donghuang tribe. Originally, if Tang had not sent people to hunt them down, they might not have been so bad. But now that they had made enemies, they also buried the idea in their hearts that they would lead troops to get back at the place one day. Especially Gun, although he awakened the ability to control water, his personality did not become softer because of this, but became more irritable. Originally he was a little neurotic and irritable. When he was hunted down this time, he also thought that he had seen the face of the Donghuang tribe clearly, and believed that those who defected deserved to die. They returned to the four major tribes with technology and more seeds, and were treated preferentially. Therefore, under the promotion of the technology learned by Gun and Guang, the four major tribes also started a new pioneering action, continued to expand to the west of Zhukyu, discovered more mountains with rich products, and gradually multiplied more people. Thanks to Gun and Guang's contribution to bringing back more planting technology, they gradually became the new generation of leaders of the tribe, and actively promoted the integration of the four major tribes, and completely opened up and broadened the communication channels between the four major tribes. Originally, the four tribes were not far from each other. The distance between the Hongsan Mountain tribe and the East Lake and the South Orange Hill was no more than 20 miles, which was difficult to walk, but it did not interfere with their daily communication. At the same time, there was a man named Lun in the new generation. He observed the round sun and the way round wooden stakes rolled on the ground, invented the wooden wheel, and tried to apply it to the transportation of daily goods. Guang noticed the invention of Lun and was shocked. He found Lun and had an in-depth communication with him. Finally, they jointly invented a more sophisticated single-wheeled cart and a four-wheeled cart that could be pulled by manpower. In order to make this four-wheeled cart not bulky, they made the wheels partially hollow, and they named it Zuinun. The invention of the Zuinun cart greatly improved their transportation efficiency. With a gradually improving strength and average physical strength of the dog people, the communication and integration efficiency between the four tribes became higher and higher. Finally, in the 10th year after Gun returned, a large number of new generations were born in the four tribes again, and the passages between the four tribes became larger and larger, and more houses were built along the way by the new generations after they got married. The four major tribes have become a large tribe-gathering tribe with the mountains as the center and expanding in an irregular fan shape, completing the process from differentiation to integration again. Yaochao clan has grown again. In this process of great integration, their population has increased again. The previous concerns about fertility caused by insufficient territory and insufficient risk resistance are no longer there. They have a lot of children, work during the day, and fuck their wives at night. The population has reached its peak again and doubled in one fell swoop, breaking through to more than 6,000. It is the overlord of the surrounding area. Ordinary giant creatures dare not invade at will, and it is thriving. The change also occurred in the following year when Gun thought he had completed the great cause of unifying the four major tribes and accumulated enough strength to prepare for revenge. However, although Gun became very prestigious at that time by virtue of the great achievements of the integration of the four major tribes, it was not easy to rashly launch a war. So, he first instigated a group of his confidants, took a group of young and strong people, a total of 100 people, to explore the situation of the Donghuang tribe. The straight line distance between the Donghuang tribe and the Yaochao tribe is more than 300 miles. In addition, the mountains and roads along the way are steep, and the dense forests are difficult to pass through. Therefore, they have basically not communicated in the past 10 years. Of course, this is also because Zhu is getting older and can no longer promote communication, so he can only hand it over to Tang. Tang is 3 years younger than Zhu. But because Zhu tried many kinds of plants in his early years to expand the orange fruit, he had been poisoned a lot. Although he was well later, his lifespan was eventually weakened. When he lived to more than 60 years old, he gradually became weak and completely lost his energy. Zhu's son Tang was not taken with him before he expanded the wasteland. He stayed in the four major tribes, and the relationship between the two gradually faded. Zhu's other sons were not particularly capable. Therefore, the power of the Donghuang tribe was basically handed over to the young and strong Tang. Tang himself was too lazy to take the people of those tribes to play, and he did not expect that the four major tribes had passed the decline period and began to develop. Therefore, he has been obsessed with expanding eastward, wanting to see where the limit of the east is and what the world is like. Among them, his third son Qi found a road leading to the sea and completed the development. He led people to split the mountains and forests and opened up a dense forest road that was more than 1,000 miles long. The young and strong people led by Qi also settled down on the East China Sea and gradually multiplied. They discovered more abundant aquatic products and more extraordinary food on the seashore, which awakened more and more special abilities for the tribe members. Chapter 548 Exile. The troops sent by Gun began to plunder the supplies of the Donghuang tribe on a small scale. After 10 years of integration and development, the gap between the two is not very obvious. In terms of average height, the average height of the Orthodox tribe of Yaochao reached 1.38 meters, while that of the Donghuang tribe reached 1.45 meters. Because of the foundation accumulated by the Orthodox tribe of Yaochao, their total population is higher. Even if some young and strong people were taken to the Donghuang tribe, the foundation could not be shaken. If more old people from the Yaochao tribe were removed, the height and strength of the young and strong people of the two tribes were actually not much different. Gun's group of people were all carefully selected strong men, and the target of the plunder was the slightly weaker dog people of the Donghuang tribe. Therefore, their success rate of plundering in the periphery was very high, and they quickly got a batch of supplies and transported them back to the tribe with Zuinun carts. The people of the Donghuang tribe did not care at first, thinking that it was caused by the attack of wild beasts. After all, the degree of danger outside the Donghuang tribe was stronger than that around the Dashan tribe. It was not until someone escaped from the looting and reported the matter that Tang became alert and began to strengthen his vigilance, realizing that it might be revenge from Gun. Under the constant friction between the two tribes, a protracted war soon broke out. Their battlefield was in the middle of the two tribes. Due to their war, the mountains and forests were gradually burned, trampled, and many dead bones were buried. The resentment was so great that even the giant creatures did not dare to approach at will. After fighting for more than half a year, Both sides suffered heavy losses, and the total population dropped sharply to less than 5,000. They realized that this was not going to work and temporarily stopped the war. After the war was over, the mountains and forests gradually flattened, and weeds grew wildly. This open area gradually attracted a creature called horse, and the people of the two tribes each drew a boundary and began to raise horses. So this wasteland was also called Muay. Gun was also criticized by the tribe for deliberately provoking the war, and his reputation gradually deteriorated. After all, if the war he caused could win and produce great results, everyone would naturally be willing to follow him. But the war he started was more like a destructive action, which was completely opposite to his previous contributions. So, Gun was exiled and left with his closest people. In addition, the original 100-man looting team that provoked the war was also exiled to other areas. However, since there is no complete legal system within the tribe, there are only customary rules. Therefore, they were only exiled, and there was no strong punishment. Each of them left the coverage of the tribe with their families and went to various directions of the tribe to open up wasteland and survive. Fortunately, they have developed very mature hunting, planting, preservation, weapons, strengthening and other technologies, and there are even many who have awakened extraordinary abilities. Therefore, even if a few people were exiled, they still found a suitable place to live. Then, they gradually branched out and spread the blood of the dog people to farther places, gradually forming new small tribes. This branch of Gun survived in a place called Chongshan. Because of the high mountains and winding rivers, they called themselves Chongshan Clan and focused on developing and tapping their own water control capabilities, trying to regain the legitimate control of the tribe. The other branches also had their own banners. For example, Guang and Lun, although they had superb skills and made great contributions, were also exiled because they were deeply involved in provoking war. The two, their families, and other confidants survived in a place called Xiongshan, where a group of big black bears lived and were good at fishing. Guang and Lun made a large number of wooden weapons and traps, killed a group, captured a group, and domesticated a group. In the end, they mastered the technology of taming big black bears and called themselves Yakshan Clan. The above is what Li Yi saw through retrospection. He sighed in his heart, I didn't expect that after such a short time of understanding the law, this dogman has undergone such a big change. After all, it has developed to a limit in its time for some changes. The sense of deja vu of the development of his dogman became stronger and stronger, and even many of them were similar to the myths he had heard on Earth. Li Yu was quite surprised. Maybe, their development was subconsciously influenced by me, the god of creation, Li Yu thought. It is undeniable that there are definitely other possibilities, but at present, this explanation is indeed the most in line with the facts. As for the newly born wisdom, Li Yu also found traces. It was one of the achievements of Zhu in the East Wilderness tribe. His sword, in Zhu's long-term pioneering and fighting, under the sense of mission formed after he was entrusted by Kang, has evolved some wisdom. This wisdom is very weak, but it has its own growth. It was originally made of the canine teeth of a 20-meter giant creature. It is very tough and has no disadvantages in fighting and hunting. The sword also continues to increase its hardness and toughness with fighting. If it weren't for Zhu's physical decline in the past 2 years, this tooth sword would probably become sharper and carry invisible pressure. Li Yu was not surprised that the object gave birth to wisdom. Because when he designed the life code and the internal structure of the material, it originally included the conditions that could allow lightning, flames, stones, trees and other tangible and intangible things to give birth to wisdom. The reason why these wisdoms were not forcibly matured was naturally because the wisdom born naturally would have a greater effect on the perfection of the laws of creation and the laws of life. I believe Zhu has noticed the specialness of this sword. Next, it depends on whether he can make good use of this special item. Li Yu observed Zhu, the third-generation leader of the tribe, and knew that he was about to die. Sure enough, on the 7th day in the small universe that Li Yu was looking at, Zhu summoned Tang, who he entrusted with an important task. Tang's situation was completely opposite to that of Gun and others. Although he took the initiative to attack and kill Gun and Gong and others, he did it carefully and no one knew about it. Even if Gun led people to take revenge, no one would associate it with such a long time ago. Therefore, in the war caused by the looting, the Donghuang tribe had a legitimate reason to fight. And the tribe was united in hatred of the enemy. Even though they suffered heavy losses, no one deposed and exiled Tang. However, although Tang was not exiled, as the war progressed, The population dropped sharply, and he knew that he had a lot of responsibility. During the truce, he always thought about it and regretted it. He did not regret the pursuit. In his opinion, there were only so many resources, and fighting was inevitable. He just took the initiative. He just regretted that he was not careful. Since he wanted to hunt, he should be more ruthless. As a result, he let 2 people go, so that today's disaster made Zhu more and more worried and seriously ill. At this moment, Tang came to the temple, looking at Zhu, who looked more and more old, and his heart was even more painful. "Brother, I have failed you. I have no face to take over as the leader of the tribe." With a plop, he knelt in front of Zhu and burst into tears. Chapter 549 Spirit Soldiers. Facing Tang's regret, Zhu just smiled and said something that surprised Tang. As the leader of the group, even if you are wrong, you should not admit your mistakes to others casually. Even if you go the wrong way, it is better than turning back halfway and wasting your previous energy and actions. After all, the world is so big, no one can prove what is right. Although we have experienced war, it is not a bad thing. With fighting and pressure, we will be more united internally, and we will work harder in production and training. People are going to die anyway, whether it is early or late. It is a good thing that it can make us realize the pain of war and fight for it. Tang did not expect that Zhu would be so open-minded about his mistakes. However, although Zhu's words made sense and successfully reversed Tang's self-blame, Tang was still worried and thought that Zhu might just be testing him. Unlike Zhu, Tang was not frank enough and lacked tolerance. But, there is no but. If you regret and blame yourself, then train a better leader and let him take your place to lead the tribe to a brighter future and spread the will of the nest god all over the earth. Zhu smiled and said, "I still remember everything my father and grandfather taught me. Unfortunately, my sons are useless. If you can train a good leader for my grandson, let him take over from you. If you can't, you can choose from your own descendants. I've been through so much hardship for so many days. I'm probably going to die today. Don't be sad or upset. You've done a good job these days and you are a qualified leader." He took out the toothed sword that gave birth to wisdom from his hand and handed it to Tang. Tang took it with both hands in surprise. He hadn't seen Zhu's sword for a long time. Why did he see it today? It looked so strange. The texture looked much better than before. It was like a beautiful pebble with many beautiful patterns. Then a fresh beat came from his palm, which shocked his mind, and he looked up at Zhu. "Don't be surprised. This is a gift from my nest god. It is a gift that belongs exclusively to our Donghuang tribe. The Dashan tribe doesn't have this thing. It shows that we are the ones who are favored by the nest god." Zhu's words immediately calmed Tang's surprise. It turned out to be a gift from the nest god. No wonder it is so magical. This is the Tooth God sword that represents the orthodox inheritance of our nest god in the future. You must always carry it with you, wash it with battles, blood and sweat, and cultivate it. Tang, I will give you one last word. At any time, as a leader, you can only reflect, but not regret. Do you understand? Tang nodded slightly, savoring this sentence. When he looked up at Zhu again, he found that Zhu's skin lost its vitality in an instant, and his eyelids closed heavily. He died. On a quiet night, he died quietly. A meteor streaked across the night sky, and the world was quiet. With Zhu's death and the truce between the two tribes, the dog people entered a century-long development period. Under the baptism of war, they developed various new technologies. The first is animal husbandry technology. By domesticating herbivores such as horses, cattle, and sheep, they increased the variety of meat and accelerated the pace of land reclamation. The second is the update of planting technology. Due to the rapid increase in population, they abandoned the slash and burn planting technology and adopted the fixed field ridge rotation method. The third is the iteration of weapon technology. They generally mastered the ability to hunt 20-meter giant creatures. They could find many useful hard bones from the bones of these giant creatures, which could be polished into sharp bone knives, bone swords, and bone axes, and it was easy to cut down giant trees. The fourth is that with better tools, their housing environment has been improved, and they can make better and more comfortable houses. With some rough air drying and insect-proof methods, it is not a problem to live in a wooden house for 7 or 8 years. The fifth is the maturity of writing. All tribes generally have the position of temple priests, master the most comprehensive text and knowledge inheritance, and play a key role in the development of the tribe. The sixth is the development of extraordinary abilities. Combining their observations of the world, They summarized that the world is composed of 4 elements: earth, water, wind, and fire, and mastered the basic development capabilities of the corresponding elements. After several generations of reproduction, specialized blood inheritance has emerged. That is, some people are born with the ability to spit fire, control water, and control wind. The strength of these abilities is generally not strong, but they have already shown some advantages in hunting. With the application of various weapons, they gradually derived the initial extraordinary martial arts. Among them, Tang's third-generation son Xin was born twice as big as an ordinary baby. When he grew up, he was already 1.8 meters tall, much taller than the average 1.6 meters. He had great physical strength to carry a tripod with his bare hands. He could kill a creature that was 5 or 6 meters tall with one punch. He was hailed as the strongest warrior of the new generation. In addition, he created the earliest and most complete method of practicing the fire element. At the age of 23, his skills were perfected, and his whole body was wrapped in flames. It was no problem for him to kill a large creature that was more than 10 meters tall with one punch. He was able to achieve such a creative breakthrough, on the one hand, because of the accumulation of previous generations, and on the other hand, because of his personal endowment. But the most important thing was the Fang sword. The toothed sword was inherited by Xin when he was 18 years old. He often carried it with him, which made him feel enlightened from time to time and comprehend many profound truths. If there was no toothed sword, they would probably have to accumulate for hundreds of years to come up with a relatively complete cultivation method. After Xin's fire element cultivation method was born, other geniuses were born in the Donghuang tribe again. They learned from Xin's method and successively developed other types of cultivation methods. Earth, water, wind and fire, each perfected. Of course, the cultivation method created by Xin is still the best and most complete. Others are still just copying. On this day, Xin, who was 30 years old and in his prime, invited the founders of the tribe's major cultivation methods. These people were Luo, the founder of the earth element cultivation method, Fu, the founder of the wind element cultivation method, and Zai, the founder of the water element cultivation method. Everyone, I am inviting you today for no other reason than that my skills have reached a new level and my strength has greatly improved. I can kill a 20-meter-long beast with my bare hands. I want to fulfill the last wish of my ancestors, command all the dog tribes, become the tribal leader, and spread the name of the nest god among all the dog people again. What do you think? These words undoubtedly shocked several people. Xin's talent is so extraordinary, and he has made great progress. He can actually kill a 20-meter-long beast with his bare hands? On the contrary, they were not surprised that he wanted to become the tribal leader. Because this is almost the idea of most people in the East Wilderness tribe. They have long regarded themselves as orthodox, but without the control of the Dashan tribe, the earliest holy land of the dog people still feels a little unjustified. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.